One. Okay, just going to check real quick, making sure we're live on all of the channels. 1 second. All right, we're checking Facebook. Are we live on Facebook? Let me see. It takes a second sometimes. That's why I gotta check. Okay. Yes, we are live. Okay. Yeah, we're live on Facebook. I see it. Cool beans. And let's go over to YouTube, live there. And we're also live on Twitch. Woo! Yep. Hey, Funny Spo. We are live. All right. So I am excited about tonight's stream. I know it's in the evening, and I know I wanted to get here sooner, but life happens, and thus we're here on the stream at 9:30. But I'm excited for the stream, and it's still going to be a news stream. I've been saying how I've been wanting to cover some news articles on stream, and due to the fact that Jimmy is on. Well, I know Jimmy's on. So yesterday we watched Jimmy. That was more so due to technical difficulties and wanting to save the news for today because I'd get on stream earlier. So we'll probably watch maybe some Jimmy clips later. But for this stream, I'm excited to talk about some of the news topics, some, I guess, world events. So I'm going to talk about how there were mummies in the streets and in Cairo. Apparently they were moving them, but we're going to watch a news clip on it and read an article about like why they were being moved to start off on some light, fun, news. And then we're also going to be talking about some heavier topics and how like we've been talking about in the stream for about over a month now, the COVID-19 mutant strains and how they're on the rise and how it's showing that the vaccine isn't effective, or they're showing how the vaccine's being less effective, and they're saying it's due to the mutations. We knew this was going to happen. That's why we should have always been pushing wearing masks. We should never have said anything about not wearing masks even around people who are vaccinated. We'll go there. And then we're going to talk about how the restaurant lobby killed the minimum wage. So I saw a tweet from I'm not going to say David Sirota. So David Sirota, he started the Daily Poster. I need to know what the name of that news source is, but I think it's called the Daily Poster. And I'm not sure if it's the article from there, but he talked about how the restaurant lobby helped kill the $50 minimum wage. And I feel like ranting on that and reading while I read the articles. So we're going to do that together. And then if we do have time, I want to talk about the Pentagon, not the Pentagon, but like the military, and kind of the article out about how they've been releasing toxic or been burning toxic chemicals in the air, and how it's been affecting Americans. Not good. So, yeah. Well, there's one other thing I was going to... Oh! No, but I was going to save that. It was an article about Delta Airlines and how they're opening up the middle seat, but I was going to save that article for when we talk about the mutated strains. So, buckle up, people. It's going to be a fun ride tonight on the stream. So, yeah, mentally prepare. And also, I just want to start off, and it gives people time to log or to get on stream. So I like to start it off with some icebreakers about what's going on in my life. So my eye is red. You see that? It itches. I guess it was like makeup or something, but I was like, well, whatever. I'm going to go on stream anyway. But I'm like, you can see it. It's red. The corner of my eye. So that's upsetting. Oh, and I got this little mark on my arm too. Anyway, so there's that. But anyway, so I guess starting off with icebreaker, or with if I can speak, with a icebreaker. I'll tell you guys about my day. So today I called Regions because let's just first start off and say that I cannot stand Regions. It's I don't know. I think it's almost on my hate level of corporations. I have a list, Greyhound at the very top of my hate list, of companies that have wronged me or done harm and wrong, um, that I've seen. But Regions is very close. So I'll tell you the story later. But called Regions. I called them yesterday because I forgot my password. I reset it recently. Um, Tried to log in online. It wasn't working. So I tried to do it on my phone, and after two tries, it locked me out. So I'm like, perfect. So I need to call, and it was around like 4, so it was getting kind of late. And I call, and it says that there's a 40-minute wait, like over 15 minutes. It says estimated time 40 minutes. So I'm like, oh, and then it also said, do you want to, you can either wait or have them call you back. So of course I have them call me back. And so wait 40 or so minutes, I get a ring. I answer. It asks questions. It was a little loud at first. It repeats, the menu again. I hit the button that says answer, you're here. It said, due to technical difficulties, the system isn't working. Goodbye. No banking. Bruh. The banks. I feel I understand now. I feel like what they would say about the banks and why people hate the banks. They didn't. Yes, the system, and it's just like we're wronged and we never get anything for it, right? Like they can just do whatever they want. If they like, what can I do? Complain to Regions and say, hey, your system just wasted my time and I had to wait 40 minutes. They're not going to do anything. All they have to do is say sorry because they don't have to do anything. And it's just the type of business that they are. So anyway, I had called them again today so I could unlock my Regions account. And so I was waiting for them to have the option where it would say that I could, have them call back because it was going to be more than 15 minutes because it was due to high call volume. It didn't say that. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to be like 20 minutes. As it said, it would be longer than 15-minute wait. It didn't tell me 40 minutes like last time, but it just said, it'd be a wait. Waiting on the phone, waiting on the phone, waiting on the phone. I had other calls to make. Had to wait on the phone, wait on the phone. It was like at 50 minutes, I was on the phone waiting just for them to help me reset my password or unlock my account. Like, I can't wait. Like, I don't like Regions, and I want to shut down my account, so I will be shutting it down very quickly and switching over to Aspiration. It seems like somewhat better of a company. You don't have to pay. You can set, like, you don't have to pay monthly fees. You can choose to, and they say that they are more eco-friendly and they don't put their stocks and their investments into things like oil and gas. Okay, I'm just repeating what they say. I don't know if it holds up, but I hope that they're holding up to it. But you don't get charged monthly fees. You don't get charged ATM fees after a certain amount of, like, you have a certain amount of swipes that you can do from the ATM, and you don't get charged at any ATM. So that's cool. Not advertisement for Aspiration, but actually really, really nice too. They have really nice, it's like if you have sign up fees, it's like $100 have somebody sign up. So what is it called? Close your account at Regions. F them. And here's the reason why. So me and my from Matthew, it's kind of weird to say. Anyway, had to deal with Regions where money was sent to the account and like randomly. So it was going through a hard time, and like he had been talking to his dad, and his dad had helped him out a little bit, and he had given him, I guess, his money or his account number for to do the transaction. And so, we randomly see like $900 into the account. And so it was like, oh, where's this from? We're like, who knows? Praise the Lord. And so waited, and it was like maybe a week to see like, will the money go or whatnot. We were busy during that time, so I guess he didn't call. But hey, money was put into your account. Who's supposed to have, like, only people you giving your account number to should have your account. So why should you worry if money's there? You know, it's the thought of the ignorant. So we then, so the money is spent, and on, bills, things like that. It came at a good time. Thought that family member had sent that, anonymously. Come to find out that was not the case. And apparently somebody in Alabama, literally, they looked back at the case. The person had, the teller put the wrong, like one number wrong in the account number or something like that. I think it was the account number. And even though on the check that the person had didn't have my friend's name on it, she didn't catch that, and so it was deposited into my friend's account. And so technically it was on the bank teller for not double checking, because they're supposed to check to see if the names match, not just putting in the number and seeing, looking and seeing if the number match. You have to look and see if the name and the number match on the account. So Regent is like, yeah, see, sorry, our bad, but you kind of got to pay us back. I know it was our slip up, but you got to pay us back. And we're like, wait, what? So I wouldn't help fight it, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. This is you guys' mistake. We didn't do anything, and we thought it wasn't like $10,000 was dropped into his account, right? It was a reasonable amount of money, and again, did not ask for it. Why should we be punished for your teller's mistake, right? And so apparently I had asked, and I said, well, does the person have to pay it back? Like, did the check or wrote the wrong check or something like that? And they were like, yes. And then I was like, well, what about the teller? And they were like, yes, she also gets punished. I thought it said that she had to pay, but I'm not sure if tellers have to pay if they mess up. But it made it seem like the person who, the person who was cashing the check got in trouble, or something along those lines. But anyway, it was ridiculous. So it felt like they got paid off of their mistake. And I didn't like that. And it just shows how wrong capitalism is in this country, and how things are run, and monopoly-like powers. Like, what are you going to do? And you can't make them up. I know that they have the money. That's the thing. It's like, this isn't a mom and pop shop that accidentally, made a mistake. This is a multi-billion-dollar company, bank, and you have the people who have to pay because of your mistakes. But we put our money in there. You use our money to put in the stock markets and grow your profits. But we have to pay when you make a mistake too. So I say F regions. Just seeing how it was treated. You had to pay it back. Pay the money back. But I thought my account had closed out originally, my regions account. But I guess since the stimulus check and stuff was linked to it, it was put in, and so thus there was money in the account. So it did not go out or cancel out or whatever. So very soon I will be shutting down my regions, and thus that is that story. I was able to get my password reset, and so good things there. What else? So today I also got Brewster's ice cream, and I really like Brewster's. I had it when I was younger. We would go with my mom and sisters, and it was nice. Like, we like it. We have one nearby where I live now, and y'all, the turtle caramel, something like that. Turtle cheesecake, New York cheesecake or something. That's so good. Like, yeah. The way that the pecans are just nice and salted, but then the caramel is there too, and it just has a lot of the pecan, so it's like you can evenly divide it and have a little pecan and eat your little scoops of the cheesecake ice cream. I love cheesecake ice cream. And so I got a pint of cheesecake ice cream, half New York cheesecake, half of the turtle, and it was hidden. So if you guys want to find a good ice cream flavor, the turtle. Yeah, see, my eye still looks red. It's whatever. The turtle cheesecake is where it's at. But anyway, I guess that's about it. Also, too, like, last stream sounds yummy, right? Right. So if you have a Brewster's nearby, check it out. It's pretty good. I feel like the best bang for your buck is to get a pint of ice cream. It's kind of in the little bowl. I mean, if you're kind of just walking or just kind of with friends and want to eat an ice cream cone, that's fine. But if you kind of want ice cream, the pint works. It's like $5, $5.99 or less than $5.99. And I think like the small is $2.79. See prices. But anyway, so we wanted last stream. We got the popular capture card. I'm not sure the brand, but it doesn't work. Like, I don't know, the one that we got is defective because it doesn't stay connected even if nothing's happened to it. We have to pull them out into different Elgato. Yes, Elgato. Yeah, an Elgato capture card. And so it just doesn't work. And it's annoying to get a fluke because I feel like the company, a lot of people have a lot of good things to say, but ours is just not good. So we have to return it to Amazon. And I'm just like, should we order one first or wait, like send it back and then order another one? But I like playing Sonic on stream, so it's kind of frustrating. What I mean by that is like order one, wait for it to get here, and still try to like make this capture card work, and then when we get the new one, send the old one back. But I'll figure it out when the time comes. But I say all that to say, that is why I have not been, or I wasn't able to play Sonic, and I wanted to. So I don't know when we'll be able to play Sonic again. But now that we had that nice little warm up of our stream, let's get to it. Chi, she is asleep on the couch. Or not the couch, the bed. So you don't get to see her at the beginning of the stream, but maybe by the end she'll come over. I don't know, she looks comfortable. She's had 2 other dogs to play with these last few days, and I think she's happy about it. Okay, so let me just set things up for you guys. And you guys can't hear any, no, there's nothing, no background sound. Okay. Okay, so, okay. On to the first order of business. So let's go in with what's going on in Cairo. Let's switch over. Okay. I haven't watched this, so I like doing news and like, reading and findings on stream with you guys. So we're learning and seeing these things together for the first time. At least some things. Anyway. Last time I tried to do one of these clips, Facebook was like, you're streaming something that belongs to somebody, and I'm not sure, so we'll see. We'll see how it works with playing this clip in the stream.
Egyptian mummies on the move. The Golden Parade, a multi-million-dollar procession through the streets of Cairo for Egypt's ancient rulers, 3,000 years after their burial. A guard of honor and a gun salute. 22 ancient mummies taken on a historic journey. The 4 queens and 18 kings, including Ramses the Great, one of Egypt's legendary pharaohs who ruled for more than 60 years.
The parade is very important, not only for Egypt, but for the whole world.
The mummies emerging from their cramped accommodation at Egypt's historic museum. We visited the museum in 2017. More than 100,000 artifacts were kept there, not always safely. During Egypt's revolution in 2011, it was broken into and 50 objects were stolen. The mummy's new home, the state-of-the-art National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, will be safer and far more modern. The 3-mile parade, less than an hour long, made for TV and aimed at attracting tourists to Egypt again, with many local people from poor districts of Cairo prevented from attending. For the mummies themselves, a sophisticated process. The ancient bodies x-rayed and sealed.
How do we just brush by that? Like, hold on a second. What do you mean the poor weren't able to see, like, something like a procession, a parade of their culture? See, news like this. You gotta catch.
The Art National Museum of Egyptian Civilization will be safer and far more modern. The 3-mile parade, less than an hour long, made for TV and aimed at attracting tourists to Egypt again, with many local people from poor districts of Cairo prevented from attending. For the mummies themselves, a sophisticated process. The ancient bodies x-rayed and sealed in nitrogen, then kept in bespoke capsules and moved in special vehicles to keep them safe. Egypt has been making news lately, struggling with COVID infections, the blockage of the Suez Canal, and a deadly train crash. On social media, some even suggesting the parade was cursed.
Everyone said this is the curse of the mummies. But I said there is no curse of the mummies.
Egypt's ancient past, an ever-present influence on its future. And this weekend, the source of a truly stunning spectacle.
I mean, Kira, spectacle to be sure, but one would assume that they could have transported those mummies without the fanfare, the pomp and the circumstance. How much of this was about attracting tourism back to Egypt right now?
Oh yeah, a huge amount, Craig. Like so many countries, Egypt's tourism industry, a fifth of its economy, a $12 billion industry, has just disappeared. They're hoping that you'll see these images at home and say to each other, why don't we go to Egypt when we have a chance? Inevitably, though, Craig, there are those on social media saying, in a packed 2021, and I think these folks are joking, why would you unleash cursed mummies onto the streets? It's a pretty good question, guys.
It's a legitimate concern. Kira Simmons for us there.
Always a naysayer. I was going to take.
Cool.
Why don't we go to Egypt?
We're going.
Let's go to
Egypt. Today goes to Egypt.
It looks pretty cool to me.
Capitalism.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews.
Let's bring it over. Funny. Interesting. We're going to read an article on it too, but just first thoughts. Like I said, like I pointed out, is nobody going to talk about how, I guess, because of capitalism, they discriminated against the poor and not letting them come and to see? Egypt, like, it's very, like, unsettling. And then, like, very much it felt like capitalism for capitalism's sake. And then, of course, capitalism and getting tourism and people to come back. It feel like they're using the mummies as caricatures. Almost like... I watched this... I forgot what it was called. The Netflix documentary. Wati. It was about finding the mummy Wati. It's actually really good, man. I wish we could watch more things together, like on stream, like just watch stuff and, you know, talk. But we can on Prime, but not a lot of things that I watch are on Prime. But I digress. But man, what was it called? But I just remembered while watching that documentary, it was recent, I think it was 2020. I don't think it was 2021. Might have been, but I don't think so. But I just kind of thought about how these were actual people, and it's us that have kind of, I can't say personified because they were people, but like revisionist. There's revisionist history, but also fantasized them. Like they didn't. We haven't. How do I explain it? Like they were people, right? And like, what did they want? And just watching them do the, grave finders, the diggers. I get it because it's something that their families have done, and how they dig and are able to preserve it. My thing is, why are we digging? I get it, but like they made it so we can realize that, like it's made to last. So like, why are we disrupting it? It just feels we'll say for history, and I understand history, right? Or just understanding more about humans and kind of science that we had at the time and seeing and examining, the mummies, the bodies. I get it. But why, like, I feel like respectfully we should put them back or create a space, their space, make it better and put them back where they were. Because that's what they wanted. And they believed that, they would be there for a long time. And now that we know that about them, the fact that we don't put them back or, like, it's exploited, it's just kind of like, I feel like very disrespectful to them. And I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of what I came. Like, it was cool to learn about the family. Again, Wati. Man, if I can remember. Funny spell. Can you look that up? And see what the name of the Netflix documentary was. Quido. It starts with, has a Q in it, I think. But, it's cool to hear about his life and the story behind it. Like, they were able to read. Like, very cool. But then also feeling like, now that I know more about them, they're real people, or they, his family that was also buried in the tomb with him were real people who had lives. Hold on, me. Oh. Yeah, this one. The Secrets of Saqqara Tomb. 5 shocking facts about Wati. Oh, yes. Let's see these pictures. Because you can't... Okay, this is a somewhat side note, but very interesting. That kind of really awakened me. And just, again, realizing the propaganda and how much it affects myself as well. Like, or how it has. This idea that people who built the pyramids back then, who mummified, were these lighter skinned people with dark straight hair. No! Like, we say, like, oh, it's Africa, but for some reason Egypt is just lighter skinned. Oh, because of the Middle East, Mediterranean influence. Yes, that happened over time. But the people who are there, that is a whole... These are black people. Like, that's a black person. You look at these pictures, so you see this structure. I was like, when you saw the native Egyptians, archaeologists there in the tombs, I'm looking at them, I'm looking at the tomb in the structure. I'm looking at them, I'm looking at the tomb structure. I'm like, y'all don't look alike. This isn't the same, which is perfectly fine. Like, it's still, the history, again, just like America. And it hit me there too. If we based what Native Americans look like based upon the people who are in America today, we would have a very not realistic view of who they were or how they looked or their culture. Why? Because things like migration, of course, immigration over time. And so it's just interesting to see why, or when you ask, like, why was it pushed so hard to recreate the image of what Egyptians look like, or what ancient Egyptians look like, the people who built these pyramids, who built these tombs, who had this science. Why? It's just, again, I feel like it goes from white supremacy is very much rooted in from an inferiority complex. This fear that if it comes and finds out that others did great things, that somehow it's just, so no, we have to, you know, what is it? Appropriate, but not appropriate. It's not assimilate. I guess appropriate is the right word. Yeah, or like change the face of the people to be right, not the truth. You know, and it's just like, it shouldn't even be that big of a thing, but the fact that you push so hard is the problem. Like, it's the weird, the psychosis of it all, right? It goes back to even thinking about why they push so hard to have, you know, the Hebrew people, right? Israel is part of Asia. It's in the Middle East, right? Why did they feel the need or to make everything white for years and years and years? They used to say this excuse in church when I'd ask, like, why is everybody white? Like, in all the paintings, and even, you know, we showed on Easter, you know, there's white Jesus, you know? But we know that people from that region, more so from back when the time, weren't. They were more olive skin and darker hair. Why is it that all the angels are white? Why don't we have Asian angels? Like, if God made all of us, why are we always discriminating? Like, if there's a bias toward whiteness, they'd say, oh, I mean, there's sin in the world and racism, but, you know, back then they drew things that looked like them. Also, Wati himself was a funny person. Yes, he was. You have to watch the documentary. I liked the character. I meant he was shifty, but I digress. But yeah, I'd just be like, it's weird, especially now that we have so much knowledge on the truth. And since the Bible and the scriptures focus so much on the truth, the fact that we're not trying to get as close to truth as possible, even in our reenactments or like to retelling, is ridiculous to me. The fact that we call Jesus is ridiculous to me in 2021. His name was Yeshua. The man's name was Yeshua. So why in the world do we call him Jesus? But I get it. Okay, so they say, well, this whole, there's power in the name. And then you get to the root, you're like, but technically the name isn't even his name. Like, he did not hear the name Jesus while on the earth. That'd be like somebody calling me Ashley. Like, in 200 years, when referring back to me in my life, they say, Ashley was so great. You'd be like, why are you calling me Ashley? You know my name's Shakina. Yeah, but over time, you know, lingo, whatever, we just decided not to change it. Our thing sticks. We came up with the name Jesus, so we're going to keep it Jesus. Not his actual name, Yeshua. Craziness. Anyway, but this need to whitewash things. But going back, I saw that to say, we also see it here in Egypt. And see, and this is one of the most, I say all this to say too, because this is one of the most preserved cave or tombs that they found, and that's why this documentary on Netflix was so interesting. You see how the color, I said, black hair styles, black people. And it doesn't really zoom in, but even with the noses, the facial features. How about you? They don't look the same. A little bit of melanin enrichment. The hair looks like locks. Dread locks. But I know I think they also had wigs, but the style it imitated. Here we go. We see Wati. Anyway, so very interesting. Watch the documentary if you haven't seen it already on Netflix. And they had found another cave. So that kind of goes into it too. Like, why are you guys doing this? Kind of going back and realizing it really has to do with capitalism. They say, of course, it's for knowledge and all this stuff. But you could also be doing knowledge and preserving, not feeling like you're just extorting them. You know, these people, but this false, what's that word called? This false sense of praise. Like, you're not doing that. It's kind of like, oh, we're doing this, we're parading them in the streets because we're giving reverence or whatever to them. They asked not to be moved. Is it really for them or is it really for you? And we see, of course, it's for them. It's for capitalism. It's for tourism. It's money, right? The people are digging in these caves for the government so they can make money. So you don't really care. It's capitalism. And look, these mummies, you know, these people who've passed away, just another casualty of capitalism. Even them in their grandeur, you know, being able to be mummified, to be able to be or have all these pictures in your tomb and your family. Even at that time, you thought that that could save you. And in comes capitalism. I mean, granted, the afterlife, but particularly about the physical body on Earth, you know. No, capitalism said, ha ha ha, cute little mummy. You thought you had something. You thought you were rich at the time, you were powerful at the time, but now we run this ish. You work for us now. We're gonna parade you in the streets and put you in museums, and we're gonna charge. But we'll make sure you're nice and preserved still. For science. We'll say plausible deniability is for science. Again, evil cloaks itself in truth. So let me just look for the article on it. You can just read it. It's not that long. Right, so it says ancient mummies of Egypt's royal pharaohs emerged from their resting place Saturday and were paraded through the streets of Cairo to a new home. Paraded them in the streets. Had their bodies in the streets. I don't know. Do we do that of other things, like of people? And then it's just like, and then say that the poor wasn't allowed to come. It's the audacity of it all. Ugh. Capitalism. Anyway, what sounds like a plot of a movie was part of a lavish celebration of Egypt's history and project to relocate some of its greatest treasures to a new high-tech facility. The mummies of, that's his name, so Ramses the Great and 21 others were part of the Pharaoh's Golden Parade, a highly anticipated event organized by Egyptian's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. The parade route took place between the Egyptian Museum, their old location near Tahrir Square, to their new home, the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, in Egypt's first Islamic capital, Al-Fustat. The majestic scene is new evidence of the greatness of Egypt, of the Egyptian people, the guardian of the unique civilization that roots back to the depths of history. So important, you would think they try to get it right visually, but whatever, or representation wise of the people. I digress. But, and then also, I keep going back to it. I just feel bad that these mummies are out in the streets, but I guess it's whatever. And is it that big of a deal? I just wonder how the people of Egypt feel, you know? Maybe later doing some more depth into it. I wonder how they feel on it. This majestic scene is new evidence of the greatness of the Egyptian people, the guardian of this unique civilization that roots back into the depth of history. Egyptian President Abdul Fattah, said on Twitter. I invite all Egyptians and the world to follow this unrivaled event, invoking, of course you do, invoking the spirit of the great ancestors who preserved the homeland and created a civilization in which all humanity takes place, to keep on our path that we have started, the path of construction and humanity. Sounds like those mummies are being used. Along with the 22 royal Egyptian mummies, 17 royal sarcophagi were also transported in the procession, which moved along the Nile River and was accompanied by chariots and horses, according to Egyptian Run from online. Sarcophagi are stone coffins, often adorned with, they're the clothes part of the or the casket part of the mummy. Often adorned with sculptures and inscriptions. Among the mummies are those of King Ramses II, Seti I, Sequeniri, and Thutmosis III. Lord, not the best with names. I said it already. Okay. In addition to 4 queens, Mose Nefertari, I just feel like this is not good messing up their names. Meritaman and Hatshepsut. The parade was saluted by 21 gun salutes and joined by a military band. The mummies were transported on special decorated vehicles with their names inscribed in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs as well as in Arabic. The mummies who took part in the parade were discovered in 2 cachettes. Lord. Is that caskets? Lord, y'all, I'm not the best. Whatever, no shame. I digress. The first was unearthed in 1881 at this place, Lux West Bank in Tomb TT320. All 22 royal mummies are from the New Kingdom, an era where tombs were built underground with hidden entrances to ward off grave robbers. It's like, ha ha ha, look how good that did for you guys. You know what I mean? It's just like mocking. Like, you knew it. It'd be different if it was like they were just laid out there. They're like, hey, this is my body. This is for the future empire when found. Please put me on display. It's like they literally set it up for people not to disturb and not to move them. It's just like... And I feel like it's a little bit different even for today and what happens to people when they pass away. You know, people have like their wish of where they would like to be buried, but I feel like people don't really like I don't know, do people think this way? Like, you know, hey, would I mind if it was moved to another location? You know, I feel like people just don't care. But like these people put a lot of care into like the afterlife and where their bodies would be. And now that we know that, to still do these type of things, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, especially on the for profit. When you hear things like, you know, not everybody was able to allow to be there to see, you know, even in the crowds. And how it's like, it's very much capitalism and branding, you know, of Egypt. And I mean, of course, it's because our world runs on capitalism. That's what I'm saying. They just seem like another casualties of capitalism, you know, as an excuse. People need money. Egypt you know, the Egyptian people have businesses there, and they are, you know, if they would like more revenue, plausible deniability, we need more people back, you know. And a good way to do it is to not extort, but like use something that's, are like our ancestors to do it. Whatever. Even though they didn't want to, it'd be, again, it's different if they actually didn't mind and wanted to always be praised. But I'm not the biggest on the history of the mummies, but just the little things that I've heard. I may be wrong, but for the most part, if they did elaborate tombs for people not to move them or for grave robbers, it kind of shows that they may not have wanted to be treated like this, their bodies to be treated like this. But who cares? Capitalism. Preparing the mummies. The aim of the parade was to move 18 kings and 4 queens of Egypt along with their coffins and belongings from their old home at the Egyptian Museum. Dr. Mustafa Ismail, head of conservation at the Mummy Conservation Lab and storeroom at the NMEC, led a team of 48 people to prepare the royal mummies. The conservation process, he told CNN, involves placing each mummy in an oxygen-free nitrogen capsule, which can keep it preserved without being damaged from the effects of humidity. Especially, we are talking about bacteria, fungi, and insects. Okay. The capsule is surrounded by soft material that distributes pressure and reduces vibration during transportation. When the mummies arrive at the NMEC, the display unit will have the exact same conditions as the nitrogen capsules, so there will not be any shock for the mummy when we take it from the box and put it in these units, Ismail adds. Accompanying each mummy will be any belongings discovered alongside them, including their coffins. It says, like, will people of today be dug up for history? I feel like that's not really a part of our culture right now, but who knows? Things most people don't have to worry about. Do we do that? Like, I really am wondering, like, if we go back to European history, like, where are the kings and queens? Like, what have we done with them? No. Oh, they just stay in the ground in a certain cemetery? Or their ashes somewhere? Okay, so things to wonder about. Where was I? Okay, so displays will also show CT scans which reveal what is beneath the wraps, and sometimes any breaks in bones or diseases that afflicted the royals. All right, so there we go. Interesting article. Very interesting to see, again, the exploitation of the past. People's lives. They moved them and they got some fanfare when how much money they spent on this. And it probably looks nice. I mean, I don't know. It's okay. We're talking about it, so like I said, it's something. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the COVID mutation and how that's going and the effectiveness of the vaccine now that the mutant strain is more in this country, which we've been talking about on this stream for the last month, over a month. Knew it was going to happen. Trying to warn people, continue to wear your mask, don't listen to them. This is the time you wear a mask more than ever. even with a vaccine out, because vaccines are not the end all be all. And just like with the flu vaccine, and we all know how that works, you can still get the flu even with a vaccine. Yes, it might bring your chances down, but again, when a strain is mutated, it has gotten stronger, and studies are showing that the vaccine isn't enough. It doesn't have enough antibodies to fight back these widespreading mutations. Now you're going to get less effective vaccines, and people get sick, or people be in the hospital, people pass away. That is what they want. Why? Because there's money involved. The public just does not know about it. Anyway, so we're gonna read this. We got a problem. I just saw it. I'm like, I'm gonna read it on stream. So I had time to mentally prepare. And then there was also another. Let me go back. Let me go to my bookmarks. Yeah, here. Says most new COVID cases are from the mutant strain. Oh, what a surprise. Science already knew this would be the case. Again, it was very irresponsible messaging, purposely irresponsible messaging going out, because they wanted the cases to go up, because they have money to be made. Corporations, people at the very top, they put their money in their corporate life insurance. They want their payout, their big payout. So they're holding out. And if that means you hold the narrative, or you push the people you pay in politics to continue to, or to tell them to push, and have the CDC come out with information that pushes false information that would make people put their guard down, and in this case take their masks down, because too many people are wearing masks. For it to really, really take, we have to have people have a false sense of security. Vaccine, you don't have to wear a mask. In businesses now. So what? And then you have no proof. So people who don't want to wear masks, oh, I got a vaccine. Very irresponsible. All of it's irresponsible. On purpose. So, let's see. Where do we want to start? Oh, nope. That's an earlier detail. Here it is. Nope. I was just on it. No. Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna exit out just so I don't get confused. This is not even long. And I'm like, I'm not sure how strong credibility of the New York Post is, but we'll see. See if we can eat the fish, spit out the bones of the article. Now, before even reading this, what have I been saying on stream? I was like, oh, is that a new super chat? No. Or I keep saying super chat because I'm used to watching people on YouTube, like the vloggers, and then they read off super chats. And so in my head, I have to like break, no, this is just chat, not super chats. This is not YouTube. Anyway, but yeah, like we said, we've been talking about on stream. Of course, like I just said, that's the result. You tell people not to wear masks. You open up the state. You allow people to self-say if they've been vaccinated, in letting people just walk into your facilities and do these closed spaces without masks on, even if it says it outside the door. Because I'm from Tennessee, I'm not from. Well, I live in Tennessee. Even if it has, you must wear a mask. They are still people going in, and they're being allowed to, be served, services like at gas stations. And I'm not so much sure. I've been paying attention too much in stores. I feel like in stores you see people more so with masks, the bigger grocery stores now. But I'll keep my eye out. I haven't really been out to the grocery store in a minute. So, but I remember just going to pick up food, restaurants, going to get like this acai bowl. People are just going in and out, no mask on, and it's fine. And what you will get from that, especially when there is a pandemic like virus out and it's airborne and the mutant strain is here and it's 75% more contagious than the contagious COVID, and it's more deadly is what they're saying. How it spreads is, again, just through asymptomatic people talking and walking into places, touching things without washing their hands, talking without masks, laughing without masks, coughing without masks. They know this. They don't care because they've already put money into a system that they get a payoff if people don't do right. And people die prematurely. And thus it's allowed to continue. Just like a lot of other industries and things that are destructive to this planet and to people are allowed to continue because of profit. And it's hidden for a long time. And similarly, we'll see it with COVID. There's a lot of profits to be made. And I mean, we see the stats coming out about how, the richest have, doubled their wealth or had this much trillion or hundreds of billions, I think I said trillion, like their wealth increase. These top earners, oligarchs, making the most money. People are dying. It said, 60,000 people died from not having Medicare in a year. Now let's add 500,000. It was saying that I think it was 1/3 of people who passed away didn't have access to or have Medicare. I'm not sure. I have to look at the numbers, so I'm just saying that it's a preface. But either way, the amount of number or the percentages that it's hiked, the deaths, that's profit. If people don't see it that way, but that's how it is. And that's how the people who run this country see it. Their elite class. Those who run the corporations, who are on the boards of these places. They know about the corporate life insurance. They're the ones who ask for it. They're the ones who see the profits from it. They're the ones getting able to use those hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars that they get as bonuses for themselves and their friends on the exec board when their employees die and their ex-employees die. Would you get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that's less experimental? I mean, at this time, I'm still on the no for myself. I don't want to get a vaccine. I think in time, possibly. I just don't like how there's not enough trials on it. And also, I know how vaccines work. And if we're currently in a pandemic and you see that even the strains, now they'll say, hey, it may have helped alleviate some, right, if they're antibodies. But I'm saying if I've been in a space with people who've had COVID, right, and I did not get any symptoms, I was not sick, right, and that would mean that I have a strong immune system, right, enough, or built up the antibodies, right, to be, if I didn't know, because again, it was early in January, and we didn't have to test to see if asymptomatic or not. But I had those antibodies there, what the vaccine does, and as long as I'm wearing a mask, I double masks, hand sanitizer, washing my hands, not on people's faces whom I don't know without masks. I limit my time and spaces where there's people. Well, so like, I don't need to. You know, it's not like I'm in a, or work in a space where like I'm a nurse or, you know, doing the EMTs or have in a space where I have to be amongst a lot of people. And so I feel like I don't have to, I can wait to see the results of the study. I prefer not to be a guinea pig, but if there's people, I know that's negative connotations, but if there's people who would like to be, you know, and feel safer, put their trust in modern medicine, which I wouldn't say there isn't really a strong reason to not, other than, you know, humans can only know what they know. And that's why we have trials, so we can see what to expect in their longer term trials, so we can see in the long term what to expect. Not saying that they didn't believe that it's good or more than likely going to, you know, positively affect people in the long run against the normal, the original COVID virus, at least of the pandemic COVID virus. I just don't feel like I don't want to be part of it. As of right now, if anything, I'd rather if being forced, you know, the 1-shot one seems better. The 2-shot one, people talking about how they feel really sick. I don't got time. So, but yeah, I guess if anything, maybe that one. And the only thing that's keeping me a little bit more, let me just check. Other platforms, making sure. What was I just saying? Oh, because of capitalism is why I feel more trust in the vaccine. Because the thing is that they want to make money off of it. They know how viruses work. They know how vaccines work. Duh. They hire the people who get their PhDs in epidemiology. So of course they know. Like if I know, of course they know. Especially when it's based on truth and logic and science. They know that they'll make one vaccine. They want to make more money. Like, again, I use the analogy of the broom, right? And the investors, when it came to the type of mop they want to invest in. Do they want to invest in a revolutionary mop that is going to save you energy, time, it's not going to break, it's going to last for 10 years? Or are they going to invest their money in the type of Swiffer mop where you have to, it's innovative, you know, kind of cool, convenient, but it relies on having to get buy refills. They put their money in that. They don't want to invest in something because they don't make as much money off of the good or off of the sustainable. They make money off of the quick breaks, right? Or things you have to continue to buy. And so going back to that mindset, when you're looking at things like a vaccine, you're not going to put out a crappy product the first product. Because then people aren't going to trust or not going to buy. So you at least need to have, especially if you're thinking long term, you know, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer, I'm pretty sure they're working on the next vaccine because they know the mutant strain is here and that it's not as susceptible. So they're going to have to continue. The vaccine is not a 1-shot and we're done, right? Or the only thing you have to do is a vaccine. So for me, just on capitalism alone, they want it to work. They don't want to see people mass dying, right? They don't want to see people with weird mutations or seizures, you know? They're like, so I trust that they wouldn't put out something like that. Even if they know that the vaccine isn't going to be very effective in the long term, that's what I feel. So I feel like overall, the one that they have right now isn't going to be, and they know it. So they're trying to push it, you know. Now, get your vaccine now before you realize, wait, this vaccine isn't enough anyway. But because they have a next round. So that's why I'm not one of those people who are fearful or think something's wrong with it, you know, to more of an extent than human failure of knowledge to know, right? The scientists, you know, who knows? Because they don't know the long-term effects, you know. We don't, but not, I feel like they don't think that it's going to be detrimental to our health in society because they know a lot of people are going to have to get it. But that's just me. And I mean, it could be ignorant. I just feel like just knowing capitalism, they want their credibility. And so they've set up a little deal. with the governments. And so Big Farm and those who invest in Big Farm making a lot of money off the vaccine. It's going to save you and get you back to normal. Even though they know that's not exactly true. Eventually it will. But what will get us there faster is by continuing to social distance, wear a mask, washing our hands. Until we've brought down the spread of the virus. And I mean, I just wonder how many iterations they're going to let this do, because again, things continue to mutate. And it's America, these countries who aren't shutting down, they're not treating it the way that you're supposed to treat a viral contagion, right? Or a virus. I don't know, viral contagion is just the same word twice, but whatever. But this virus, you need to distance, keep people away from another, do a lockdown, and provide all that needs to be provided for the people to be able to do it, just like other countries did. Those with less money to give. When I say less, it's just in comparison to the U.S., we all should have been fine. We could have wrapped this up in less than 2 months, but they prefer 500,000 dead. Money. Not you, your money. They don't care about us thriving as a people. They care about themselves and what they can get away with based upon what they know the public doesn't know. I'm trying to tell you guys. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Eventually, I wouldn't mind getting a vaccine. Eventually. And I hope that they allow choice, and I hope it's more pushed of wearing a mask than anything, than having to get shots or like the vaccine. But people do what they want to do. They feel better and feel safer if they're immune compromised, or elderly. I would say get the vaccine. So, yeah. I wasn't gonna go, with the mop. I was trying to think if I finished that story. But yeah, I think y'all got it. I think it makes sense, right? I think it makes sense. Kind of how they think about it. That was it. I don't know when they're going to stop. Like, we could do it. I don't know how many iterations. There'll be a new vaccine that comes out to stop this one. But as long as people are ignorant on how vaccines or how viruses spread and ignorant on what solves it, or in not agreement or not in unity as a people on what truth is and what we're going to do in order to actually fight this or stop this, because fighting just sounds ridiculous. Stopping a spread. Who knows how many iterations we can go through? How many vaccines will be needed and how many casualties by the end we'll have? Again, I know it's very a pessimistic view. Could be considered a more realist view. I don't think we're going to get the government's going to get its act together until it hits about $1 million. Minimum. Again, they were floating around 2 million. I feel like they were okay with 2 million, and they told all the oligarchs in their route back before COVID really got started. Herd immunity. We'll push those numbers. We can think we can get away with, hey, we said we warned them you could get this bad. 2 million. And they haven't been in the streets rioting over the lack of resources that we've provided them at this point. So let's just make our money off these ignorant Americans, our cattle, that we have life insurance on. So if they're going to die, they might as well do it. It's very upsetting. So anyway, we haven't even read the article yet. We're getting to it. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Those you guys on the stream. We're learning. We're reading. We're growing together. Okay, so this from the New York Post. It says 246 fully vaccinated Michigan residents get COVID-19. 3 die. Now, again, this is what I said would happen because it's what makes sense what would happen. Watch. Were these people wearing masks? Let's see. Because it doesn't. I don't think it has to do with the vaccine. I think a lot has to do with the mutations. And they're irresponsibly, I feel like purposefully painting this vaccine out to be the end-all cure, and so that people would let their guard down. Oh, thank you. We are. They'll let their guards down. I said people will die. They'll wonder why. They'll try to make their money in this gap of misinformation and confusion and lack of knowledge. They're using people's hope against them and their trust in the government, like they typically do. Anyway, as many as 246 Michigan residents who were fully vaccinated against COVID-19 later tested positive for the deadly bug, including 3 who have died, according to a new report. The group, whose cases were reported between January 1st and March 31st, tested positive at least 2 weeks after receiving the last dose of the inculation, a health official told the Detroit News. Some of these individuals may ultimately be excluded from the list due to continuing to test positive from a recent infection prior to being fully vaccinated. Due to continuing to test positive from a recent infection prior to being fully vaccinated. Lynn Sutphin, a spokeswoman for the State Department of Health and Human Services, said in an email Monday, these cases are undergoing further review to determine if they meet the CDC criteria for determination of potential breakthrough, including the absence of a positive antigen or PCR test less than 45 days prior to the post-vaccination positive test, Sutphin said. So I'm reading this. In general, these persons have been more likely to be asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic compared with vaccinated persons, she said. So why are we talking about this in the study if they have already, like, they didn't vet them? Like, this is, okay. She said, okay, in general, these persons have been more likely to be asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic compared with a vaccinated person. Who are these persons? She said, adding that hospitalization data were available for 117 of the cases, while 129 were incomplete. Of the 117 with hospitalization data entered, 11 were hospitalized, 103 were not hospitalized, and 3 are reported as unknown, Sutphin said. The 3 people who died were all 65 or older, and 2 were within 3 weeks of the completion of vaccination, she said. While the majority of the population developed full immunity within 14 days of completion of the vaccine series, a small portion appears to take longer to mount a full... Do you hear what they're saying? This already feels corruption. Again, Again, eat the fish, spit out the bones. New York Post. I'll finish. Are they going to say anything about the mutant strains? Or we're going to act like it's because it takes 14 days to be fully and see how they're not even talking about fully. It says, while the majority of the population develops full immunity of what? Of what? Of the original, what is it? Novel? No, of the, words. I call it the original COVID, the one that's the pandemic. I know that there have been technically other strains of COVID, but yeah, the main one that's been ransacking this world and country, particularly our country. Ransacking is the right word for it. I don't think that's the right word for it either. Ugh. It's getting late, guys. Anyway, it's not saying that. So what is this doing? And these people are journalists. They know the power of words and rhetoric. They know that by not putting that there, people are going to assume that they are going to be fully immune of COVID. And it's making it seem like, oh, a small portion, it just takes a little bit longer. Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Did you test these people to see if they had the variant, the mutation, the variants? Are we going to just push this crap propaganda that, oh, you're fully, and there's just some people who, those, but technically meaning those who more than likely have caught in the stronger variant, have died, but they're trying to use plausible deniability to say, oh, it seems that a small portion appear to take longer to mount a full antibody response. Or maybe it was that the antibodies weren't enough. You know what's going on. If I've been talking about it for at least over a month, the New York Post could have done the research to know that, or to look into it and see, hey, could it also be that these people who were fully vaccinated, it's the mutant strain that they got and it's not enough? But oh no, you're going to hold that tea for a later date until the oligarchs tell you can? Those who run the New York Post tell you can? For themselves and their friends so they can profit off of what deaths are about to come from the, the unknowing? Those who don't know, because of garbage articles like this. Am I done? No. I just even reading that, so problematic. While a majority of the population develops full immunity. Where? Majority? Okay. 51% at least. Why not higher? Has that number gone down? Because you can say majority, but majority could mean anything from 51 to 99.9%. Why are you not giving us those numbers? Full immunity from what? The South African strain of COVID? Because that's not true. Based upon what the researchers have shown from Washington University. Why are they not mentioning this article? See, that's why I like reading stuff for the first time with you guys. Like, it's upsetting. Like, oh, older people. They're going to use this for a little while. And look at the CDC. CDC should know better already. Why are you not testing these people for people who've been vaccinated? Those who have symptoms or test positive, we always test them for the variants. That's what a responsible country, government would do. They're not doing it on purpose and trying to use plausible deniability. They see people all the time with plausible deniability. It's very sad, but they're very good at it. It's disgusting how good they are. Or just how it is sad how people just fall for it. I know the CDC knows. They talk about it. They slip it in. It's just, but once you know communication, you study communications, like you see it's crafted, beautifully crafted. Disturbingly, but horrible that but it's beautifully well crafted. Propaganda machines. Media, big media run by the few at the very top. Newly released data emerged as COVID-19 cases in Michigan. Newly released data emerged as COVID-19 cases in Michigan, which leads the nation in new cases by population, continue to rise, and officials seek to boost jabs. Those government officials, those contracts with those pharmaceutical companies. But instead of increasing social distancing measures and increasing mask wearing and testing for mutant strains, they're increasing in getting big pharma in people's arm. They know it's not gonna. It's so corrupt. It's so corrupt, you guys. I don't know how to say it enough. It's just corrupt. I hope you guys see it. You know, I'm talking to the camera. I'm hoping you guys see it. You guys out there. The state surpassed 700,000 cases Monday. Countries never let it get that far, let alone a state. God, like, see the corruption. Please. Oh my gosh. It has to be corrupt. Ask why. I'm telling you, seek ye shall find. Whatever. Just have to log in. Back 2002. I have only these 2 articles up. I should have more. And again, I want to do a day where we just do corporate life insurance. But corporations run the company. This company, right? This country. They're friends with one another. Class unity among the elites, very strong. Almost to the point of we wouldn't understand. Because they've got us against one another, the working class. The elites, they put up their little show when it comes to Republican, Democrat, but when it comes to the coin, very much in solidarity, keeping things hidden. So this is garbage. This is disgusting. State surpassed 700,000. Again, my best friend, Malaysia. Not even a fraction of that number was allowed to happen in their country of millions of people. The numbers are low. I don't think they got higher. I might say, I think saying that 1,000 cases, that's a lot at a time. I don't think they got to that. Their cases are low. Like I need to check back in with her before I speak. But when I did check in with her, they shut down originally. They had like even 10 cases. They were in the double digits, but not high double digits. It wasn't until they got down to the single numbers that they opened back up again. Then, and it was, but not fully opened up, but like, things were able to, move a little bit more. Again, they required the businesses to provide PPE, the big corporation, multinational ones, while they were depriving the Americans of masks and hand sanitizer, all those things. They made sure that the employees, because the countries made them, they supplied them with proper They knew what to do, but they didn't choose to bring that over to the U.S. at that same time. I wonder why. Almost like they have life insurance on their employees and they wanted to cash in because they don't really know these employees are not important. They're rank and file and worth more dead than alive. Anyway, legally. So they then had an election in one of the states, and people came and they had gotten up 300 cases. They did a shutdown again, right? Too many. 300. Pretty sure it went back down again. I need to check with her. However, 700,000 cases were allowed to happen in one state in the U.S. And corruption, purposeful, willful, because it's money. They have money in these industries. They literally have money in their employees dying prematurely via life insurance, corporate-owned life insurance. But here, how they're going to get more of that money? By continuing to lie to the people and to push a false narrative that the vaccine will get you full immunity. They're not giving any, they're not being specific. There's not full immunity to all COVID viruses. The mutant strains is not. Because studies showed it's not. Back in March 4th. But here, this one, there's that article too, but here it says, while the majority of the population develops full immunity, lies. It's lying through omission. Within 14 days of completion of their vaccine series, a small portion appear to take longer. What BS? Yes, but you're trying to misdirect people, or what's that called? Yeah, I guess we'll say misdirect people. It may take longer. You don't have proof. You don't have proof. Did you test them for the mutant strain? And if not, why didn't you not look to people, or you're not questioning why they're not being tested for the mutant strain? Why are you just saying, oh, you know, we're going to use this little story for a little while. The vaccine doesn't appear to, it takes a little bit longer for the older people. BS. You give me proof. Give me proof. Why are you doing all in your means, within your means, to find out why? No. Or if so, they didn't mention it here. Because what we do know, and like I've been saying here on this stream, vaccines they are not going to save us from all of the strains that are already the mutated strain that's already here. Because the vaccine is for the original one. Yes, it will help build up antibodies. Not saying don't take it, whatever. I'm just saying it's not going to be enough. We have to continue to wear masks. But instead of pushing that and saying that to people, they are doing it on purpose and making it seem as though you get the virus or get the vaccine, you can go back to normal. How they know how irresponsible that is. Because that's not how it works. That's not how you end a virus. That's not how stopping a pandemic works. It doesn't, you don't just, it going on a decline. Yeah, there's still hundreds of thousands of cases each day, but it's going on the decline in my state. So I'm going to open up. That only people do that who want it to go up. Only people who say, open up in the vaccines are corrupt. Are the corrupt. Hiding under this guise of plausible deniability. See, we didn't expect for a variant to come in and all these people die, and we see that the vaccine is way less effective. We already knew that to be true, but we pushed lies for a long time so people would walk around without a mask because they feel that they have full immunity. But they don't say to what. You don't have, it says here, let's go down to it. Boom. It says the UK variant could be neutralized with a similar level of antibodies as were needed to neutralize the original virus, right? The vaccine. But for the two other variants required but the other two variants require 3.5 to 10 times as much antibodies for neutralization, which means you can get a vaccine and still catch COVID. You can get a vaccine and still spread COVID to your grandma. I don't know. Just like you can get a flu shot, doesn't mean you're not going to get the flu. Why? Because you got the flu shot for a particular flu variant. You can catch another variant. But the fact that people aren't thinking that way, or that's not being pushed in that, yes, get your vaccine, it's good, whatever, but just know the way that our society is being run right now, it's not the conditions or the environment to stop it. It's the condition, not the word condition, it's the environment for breeding mutations. Why? Because people are walking around contacting jobs, things are opening up, places are opening up. People are not wearing masks anymore because they're under this false guise that I got my vaccine, I don't need to wear a mask. Ridiculous to me that it's been allowed. It's irresponsible. It just shows the level of corruption, and then you beg yourself, why could they be doing this? It makes no sense. It's almost like they don't care or want it to go away, or they don't mind if we get sick and die. Could there be money in it? Actually, let me just do here, because I like showing this too. Let me just log in real quick. I think I am here. I don't know why it's acting like this. Here it is. Could it be, especially now that they know that the elderly are the ones dying? Could it be that they have money in it? Could it be they have money in the healthcare industry, stocks, bonds, whatever? I don't think it's bonds, but stocks. Their mutual funds. Could it be they bought more when given all that money through the CARES Act? They're good little puppets. Made sure that they got their money. They paid them well, our politicians. To give them all that money so they can put it in and invest it back in to the insurance industry, to the healthcare industry. It's been seen. It's been shown. What do you think? They don't work for you. Our politicians don't work for you. The people at the top of the CDC, ultimately what they're showing is that they don't work for you. They'll work to push the narrative for as long as they need it. Yeah, fine. We won't push the fact that, hey, or not put out at all during this time saying vaccines, if you have if you're vaccinated, you can be around fully vaccinated people without a vaccine. You wouldn't all have said it at all, because you don't know that. And what you do know, or it's not that they don't know that, they know that the variant is here. They've seen what's been happening in Brazil. They've seen what's happening in South Africa, what they're seeing in Europe. But as long as they keep the American people ignorant for a little bit longer, give them false hope, let them take down their mask, the one thing that protects them. The only thing that would really stop Americans from wearing a mask during a pandemic is telling them that by doing one thing, they don't have to wear it anymore. And thus, they push that narrative. Vaccine, no mask. But they know that they'll be carrying around. Even if you had the vaccine, you can have and be asymptomatic for the stronger variant. They know the elderly, those who rushed the first ones to get the vaccine, who we appeared to care for, they know that those people will still die. But as long as they're young and out and about, family members can bring it back home to them under the guise of, hey, we all got our vaccine in this place. We all go around without, masks. Is there a chance to just get a little bit more off of people's ignorance? Getting back to normal. So That was an upsetting article. That's all I have to say. I read it all. No, last week, Governor blah, blah, blah said she was increasing the state's goal from 50,000 shots. So here's capitalism. Not truth, not saying, making sure they're wearing masks. We're sending masks in the mail. We're, putting more money into the state unemployment for social distancing, doing shutdowns, lockdowns. No, vaccines. The one thing they know isn't going to be it's not going to save them. And those who are actually the most vulnerable is what I mean. The 65-year-olds and plus. Our parents, grandparents. Because they're old. Just like in 1984, the horse gets sent to the glue factory. Because it's worth more dead than alive. Now. Animal Farm. Yeah. Animal Farm. Now, I know... Where was the other article? Oh, here it is. So I saw this on Twitter too, and it's along those same lines. I'm just gonna look at it real quick. Again, I'm looking at these kind of for the first time, like in depth with you guys. As variants have spread, progress against the virus in the U.S. has stalled. Huh. I wonder why. I'm not going to kid and say we didn't see this coming. We saw this coming. I'm just waiting for the news to come out. Very sadly. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. Open up. Push vaccine. Don't wear a mask. People already don't want to wear masks because they're told all XYZ. Have that narrative in the community. Send in have a stronger variant be there and fester quietly. Nobody talks or warns about it to amp up, PPE. 1 + 1 = 2. There's going to be an increase as the mutant grows and spreads. Of course, the vaccine that was created for the original virus is going to be seen as less effective because it will be less effective. 1 + 1 = you just have to wait and try to warn people in advance, and that's what I'm trying to do. You guys watching, tell it to your family members. If they get the vaccine, still wear a mask, still more than ever. Grandma, but you already had your vaccine. Yeah, and COVID's still here. And the government wants you dead. Particularly old. Anyway, and they've done nothing to prove otherwise. Very little. Get a vaccine. We're pushing 100,000 vaccines instead of 50,000 vaccines. Even though the surge. And a vaccine without a mask and without washing our hands. It's not an effective vaccine. It won't be an effective vaccine when you have mutations. Anyway, so United States coronavirus cases have increased again after hitting a low point last month. A low point. Did it get to the double digits? But okay, a low point. In some of the states driving the upward trend have also been hit hardest by variants, according to an analysis of data from Helix, a lab testing company. The country's vaccine rollout has sped up since the first doses were administered in December, recently reaching a rolling average of more than 3 million doses per day, and the new U.S. cases trended steeply downward in the first quarter of the year, falling by almost 80% from mid-January through end of March. They said we cannot have that. But during that period, states rolled back virus control measures. Again, like I said, we can't have that. We didn't make enough money yet. And now mobility data shows a rise in people socializing and traveling, based upon the messaging and communications given by our government, by people, place of power, CDC. People feel like we can travel again. I have my vaccine shot. Let's go. Admit they know it's wrong, but this is exactly the result they want. They know how we as Americans act. Amid all this, more contagious, and we act just like they act. Anyway, amid all this, more contagious variants have been gaining a foothold, and new cases are almost 20% higher than they were at the lowest point in March. It is pretty complex situation because behavior is changing, but we've also got this change in the virus itself at the same time. How is it complex? How is that complex? We shouldn't have moved the behavior. The question should be, why did we switch up behavior? When we knew about the other variants and how they would take hold and how there's strong variants out in other countries amid us going down. You can't lie to me. Goodbye. Or just try to put it in a simple, or like no, we did it wrong. Our government did this on purpose for this result. It is pretty complex situation. It's a horrible, purposely put together situation. People changing their behaviors. Hey, vaccine, I don't gotta wear a mask. I can go out, I can travel. I can read around my other family members without a mask. COVID's going down. I hadn't got sick. No mask wearing. No vaccine either. Such irresponsible, purposeful messaging. We watched it. Biden talk about it with his first address. Despicable. The brainwashing, or not brainwashing, but just the deception within the messaging. He pushed hope amidst a time when we should be hammering down because the variant was coming on top. We're almost there, guys. Continue to wear a mask. But no, he had Big Farm. Big Farm was calling. You need to make it so that people feel as though they need it. This current vaccine, so that they don't have to wear a mask. Because we made it so that, aren't these masks annoying? Aren't these... And maybe, yes, they are. But why are we bringing that up right now? We need to get rid of something. As humanity, we have to get rid of something. We don't care about your feelings. Viruses don't care about your feelings. But you would never have thought that based upon how our news media and government pulls it. I meant to an extent. But it's like, we want that to be gone? Well, we did it. We created a vaccine so you don't have to wear a mask anymore. People believe it. Or that it's going to end, if not just that, because there are some people who also see the truth of it, right? And get the vaccine and are still wearing a mask, which is so good. So good. It gives me hope in people. But it's like, I completely lost my thought. I think I looked over here and it lost me. But it was the messaging. But that's not what is really being pushed, though. It's not the narrative that's going. It's too much of hope in a time when we should be nailing it down. And the question is why. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know that it's going to lead to a rise in cases. It's because they know what they're doing. I'm just tell you guys that they know what they're doing. So you're less confused and you protect yourselves. it's a pretty complex situation because our government and the oligarchs who run it want us to have a change in behavior and have set it up so that Americans have changed their behavior. But, you know, it's kind of because the virus is changing itself at the same time. It's so interesting that now, when the variants are built up to a place where they're very prevalent, and they're here in the U.S. and devastating other countries, is the time that we're getting back to normal, loosen up. Like 500,000 have already died from the normal one. It's done on purpose. Said, but you've also got this change in the virus itself at the same time. Emily Martin, an epidemiologist at the University of Michigan School of Public Health. Pretty complex. Maybe it's pretty cruel. Maybe it's pretty evil in many ways. Our country doesn't care about us because we're worth more dead than alive. One more time for the folks in the back. Corporate life insurance is a thing. Most of the big Fortune 1000 companies, 70%, have been found to own it. Here back in 2002, they got found out. People started looking into it because after the 9/11 attacks, people were getting paid in the millions off of people who died during those attacks, but it wasn't going to their families. The corporations, people were like, wait, what do you mean? Corporations have life insurance on their employees? And yes, they do. I read this the other day, like going to this part of the article. Please look it up, corporate life insurance. It's a thing, and it will explain a lot. We know our oligarchs run for money and profit. They don't care if people die, if it destroys the climate, if it destroys the earth, if it kills off animals. They haven't cared before. The fact that I know it sounds weird to say personify them, but like say, oh, people at the very top are just like you and me. They can't be that bad. And that is where they got you. Because they are that bad. And they know that the little sheep will say, oh, we don't work that bad. But all you have to do is look at the actions. Look at the actions. What have they done when they got the research or when they got the science back about how fossil fuels would affect the earth? They said, hide that. Keep on drilling. When they saw what was happening with deforestation, and it coming to the extinction of animals and life, they said, cut down those forests. When it comes to the plastics, just everywhere, like in the oceans, filling up the landfills, taking years for it to biodegrade. And when it does, it releases, I think, methane gas, plastics. What do? Ranked it up. In the last 15 years, 50% of the plastic on Earth was created. So you think in a time when a pandemic hits that the same people are going to try to save you, or what they're doing is for good? Their good is filthy rags. And it's here to destroy us and to enrich them. And that is who they are. That is who runs this country. If that helps their fellow brethren, because again, like I said earlier, class solidarity, the rich, the very rich top, they're like this. We can't even comprehend what that means. This, when it comes to money and keeping things on the low and things working out for them and making it so that our government works and that they pay off the people and write the messages, for them so that they get what they want done, even if that's at the detriment of us. And we just let it be. They keep getting their blood money off of us. Even those who died in tragedy. They made sure they make money off of them. Us. The sheep, the cattle, the wage slave, the debt slave. this is it's the country we live in. Almost like we're worth more dead than alive to them, and why they're going to continue to push a narrative. Vaccine, oh my gosh, where are these cases coming from? I'm wondering how they're going to spin it. But all I know, what we see right here in the New York Post, they're making it seem like, oh, it's not that there's a variant or anything, because we're not going to mention it in this article. It's because maybe it's a trial vaccine, and it might take a little bit longer for it to kick in for old folks to be fully immune. The F? Anyway, do you guys have any thoughts? You guys watching? You can always throw them in the comments. If you have questions, thoughts on what we're talking about. Also, shameless plug before we do go into the next article. We have our goal here at the top. Our goal is to reach 50 followers here on Twitch. That way we get to the affiliates level. That is our goal. And we're almost halfway there, y'all. So, oh yeah, see? Yes, we're almost halfway there. 22, we get to 25, we're halfway there. We've been streaming for a little bit over a month, and I'm so happy to see our community just growing. So if you want to be a part of the community, if you want to know when we go live, hit that follow button. It would be much appreciated. And welcome. All right, so after that, what is on the list? Speaking of the oligarchs, let's talk about it. Okay, on to the next. This one. So, a little while back, I did some research into the fast food industries, particularly those that have multinational chains, and wondered when the whole $50 minimum wage was going on. I think it was it's been going on for a good amount of years now, but particularly I think around when COVID first started. I started looking up, because I went back in my phone to find this other article. That's why I'm talking about the date when I looked this up. Not really relevant. But anyway, almost there. Hey, that's good. What do you mean by almost there? But welcome, Shauna Marie. Oh, you're right. Almost there. You're talking about in terms of the goal, right? We're almost there. But yeah, so going back to the wage argument. So I looked at these multinational companies, particularly focusing on McDonald's, and seeing how, well, they say that they would break the bank if we paid our workers a livable wage, then, the burger is going to go up $5. Garbage fear baiting, or I guess that's the word for it. Anyway, so, but I looked and I saw that in Japan and other countries, they pay, I got you, they pay their workers a lot more money. I think they talked about in Norway, I'm not sure if it says in the article, not Norway, Scandinavian country, Denmark, that they paid their employees like $22, $25 an hour working at McDonald's, and that the burger only went up like less than a quarter. I mean, less than 50 cents. I think it was maybe less than a quarter. Funny spell, if you can find that would be helpful. But yeah, and so there's this lie, and I looked into what I think Japan, they pay $16 an hour, and I asked, are they making money? Are they still making profits? Is the world burning down around these McDonald's, because they're having to pay their employees more? And the answer is no. They're still making profits in the millions upon millions, the multi-millions. I'm being nice saying that, but as a whole, more likely billions, but millions, multi-millions of dollars in profits. So why aren't they doing it for us? It's because, particularly the Japanese government, that's what I'm focused on, they make the corporations pay. They can't just, they won't allow them to extort their people and pay them a measly, $8 to work at McDonald's. They have to do their multinational, they have all these chains. So the fact that we even have to grovel for 15 is absolutely disgusting to me. The lies that we have about why people don't deserve it. Oh, this person is working at a fast food. It's because everybody's being shorted. I'm not going to be one to say they don't deserve it. They deserve minimum $15. That's not even a livable wage. 15. That means if they can afford to do that, everybody else is being cut short as well. Right? I'm not going to say these workers shouldn't get $15 just because you're currently making $15 doing secretary or like, not secretary, but like assistant work, or you work in a factory or a lab, you know, whatever. No, you should be getting paid more is what it's telling me. That they're undercutting you there. They're undercutting all of us. We should all be demanding it. Not us, again, class or turning it on each other, the working people. We should be demanding more. Why? Because they do it in other countries. They do it for other people, but they won't do it for the American people. Now, I say all that to say, here, an article, David Sirota, where it says how the restaurant, I haven't read it yet, how the restaurant lobby killed a $15 minimum wage by telling lawmakers it would hurt business. Like we already know, and we'll read in the article, that's BS. Why? Because at the same time, restaurant execs told investors that $15 minimum wage would not hurt their business, according to this transcript reviewed by the Daily Poster. All this stuff around. What is this? Nope. Okay. So let's just read. On the 3rd. So I'm just reading this real quick. Ugh. Okay. Which one do we read first? Let's take a look at what can be done and what is, and then let's hear their BS lies that they've come up with for why they won't raise it and why they fought against, actively fought towards hurting their workers by restricting their pay when they have it to do. The country allows it. It's not good. It's not a city on any hill. Anyway, okay. McDonald's workers in Denmark and the cost of the country's Big Mac have once again been brought into the debate around whether the U.S. should more than double the minimum wage to $15 an hour. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has long advocated for the wage hike, advocated for it. She don't fight for it, but she can advocate for it, I guess. Just come out of her mouth and through her texts or tweets, but doesn't fight for it. Let's see what she has to say. Condemned the decision by the Democrats to not include a rise in hourly pay in the COVID bill, while mentioning that workers in European countries make. While mentioning what workers in European countries make. Oh, she's so full of hot air. It's like they use the truth to protect herself, to shield or to hide, because that's right. But you didn't use your power when you had it. The leverage. You didn't get your other progressive colleagues and say, hey, we're going to hold our vote on this bill because we know how important $15 an hour would be to the people we've promised it to, the Americans who work diligently year after year, day after day to make record profits for this country and its industry, who pay the taxes. No, but she will tell you the truth. Yeah, that they're wrong and stuff, but she won't hold them accountable. But all you can say is, well, she did talk about it. She did try. Talking about it and telling us the truth isn't you doing anything other than telling me the truth, which is just going to incite me. Like, okay, cool. Makes me more upset that you're not doing anything. But I guess gets you off the hook as of right now because it looks like you're on our side. Anyway, it's utterly embarrassing that people that pay people enough to live is a stance that's even up for debate, Ocasio-Cortez tweeted. Override the parliamentarian and raise the wage. McDonald's workers in Denmark are paid $22 an hour plus 6 weeks paid vacation. $15 an hour is a deep compromise, a big one, considering the phase-in, 5-year phase-in. Oh, the crumbs that they laugh at us. Period. Look at these little sheep, little cattle. Look at them begging for crumbs. So are we gonna give them all the crumbs? No. We're gonna give them half a crumb. Bing. Watch them accept it. Look at them. Pathetic. And we didn't even get $15 in 5 years. Anyway, $15 an hour in 5 years. Ridiculous that we were begging for that. Okay. AOC, I'm just going to say AOC, figures are correct. And McDonald's workers in Denmark make around $22 an hour as a result of heavy unionized de facto minimum wage set in the country on top of other benefits. Oh, it sounds like a country is doing better for its workers, or that it's making corporations who make millions upon millions upon millions in profit after expenses. Oh, that they have to actually pay their people, and so that they have a decent life. If they're going to make the most money off of them, you at least minimally have, if you particularly you can. No, not our country. Our country says, do whatever you want to the cattle. We give you guys the power. I don't like it here. Like, it's just awful. Okay, on a 2014 opinion piece on Reuters entitled, "I'm making $21 an hour at McDonald's. Why aren't you?" also states that employees younger than 18 make the equivalent of $15 in Denmark, more than double what any adult makes in America, what many adults in America earn working at the fast food chain at the current minimum of $7.25. I was nice and said $8. One argument that is sociopathics. I was wondering which one's the one sadists, those who like to inflict pain and suffering on people. I think that one's it. Those who are at the top, sociopathic sadists, like they find joy in it. Watch them squirt, watch them beg, watch us not give them anything. Watch them go hungry while they grow our profits. And watch them, they'll march in the streets. Cute. They think that their little protests will work. But we bought it all. We own the government. We are the government. So that's why you even get a person running for president who said that they were going to give $15 minimum wage. Made sure, big promise. They thought even him. We tricked them again. We got them in our pockets. Of course. What made you think that they weren't going to be in our pockets? Whatever made you think nothing, cattle, sheep, that we're going to give you what you hoped for. The crumb that you hoped for. Cute. And they crush it underneath their foot. This is awful. $7.25 and they pay $22. We are an oligarchy. We always have been from the beginning, under the guise of democracy. Never really was a true democracy. And dare I say, never made to be one. Anyway, so it says, yeah, okay, so why aren't you? Also states that, okay, yeah, we got that, 27.25. Here we go. So one argument that is frequently brought up against the rise of the minimum wage to, the raising of the minimum wage to $15 is the suggestion that it will have a knock-on effect. A lie. This is a lie. But they're plausible deniability. A knock-on effect, and the price at affordable fast food restaurants such as McDonald's and Taco Bell will also substantially increase. In rebuke, many use the price of a Big Mac in Denmark as proof that such claims are unwarranted. On social media, a number of Twitter users state that the cost of a Big Mac is around $5.15 compared to $4.80 in the U.S. Was that less than a quarter? Nope, that's 35 cents. So less than 50 cents up. So 35 cents. Even with the vastly different staff wages. Ooh, they were lying to you so they could extort your labor. They're not grateful to you that they have workers that would work at a space. They're just evil. It's disgusting. It's evil run by socios. And they know what they can do. That's the thing. Try to play us for stupid. Raise minimum wage means your food will cost a lot more. No, it doesn't mean that at all. Big Mac in the U.S. $4.80. Big Mac in Denmark $5.15. McDonald's worker salary in the U.S. $7.25. McDonald's worker salary in Denmark $22. Forced to vote for $15. Anyway. Exactly. How many Big Macs can a McDonald's employee buy after an hour of work? In Denmark, they could buy 4.3. In the U.S., they can only buy 1.8. However, the 515 figure appears to have come from the Economist's Big Mac Index from 2014, a light-hearted guide to compare different. Oh, that's what it was. A light-hearted guide to compare different currencies using purchasing power. Party theory, or yeah, parties, whatever. The Big Mac Index is not a rigorous study and is more of a gimmick than an official measure of Big Mac prices. Indeed, the most recent Big Mac Index even states the burger currently costs around $4.87 in Denmark, cheaper than the average $5.66 costs in the U.S. So it's saying that the Big Mac in Denmark costs less, and they pay their people $22 an hour, 4 times. What is that? Let me do my math. 3 times as much as they pay They don't care about you. They don't love you. They have no loyalty. Any patriotism that these companies show are all garbage lies. It's the propaganda machine, the guys to look like they're for you, all the while raping the people of their time, their energy for them. How can we not see the plantation for what it is? America, socios, a history of socios with the power. People that thought it was okay to mutilate human beings, to beat them, hang, and it be perfectly fine and seek no criminality. R-ing children, women, slavery. The country of that, where that allowed that to happen for hundreds of years. This is what it evolves to. But we like to think, oh, it's cute, we're good now. No, we are part of the mutation. Slavery did not end, it just mutated, it just grew. It evolved. And now more of us are, quote unquote, enslaved. And this is how they treat their U.S. American slaves. They don't even treat us good like the other corporations in the other countries. These same corporations, $22 to $7.25. McDonald's is a U.S. company. Get the F out of here. They don't care. They don't care about you. Anyway, there's the other article. So there's that one. So let's read over it and see how they screw people over. Actually, before that, let me see. Oh, okay. Oh, this is annoying. Archives. Okay, so it says, again, I haven't read this article. I read it with you guys. Here is some interesting history for you. Adjusted for inflation, the federal minimum wage peaked at $8.56 in 1968, y'all. The peak, that's something that's, the peak was $8.56 in 1968. The average age of a U.S. senator is 62, meaning they were 16 in 1968. So your average U.S. senator was entering the workforce while the federal minimum wage was at its peak. Once upon a time, a fast food jobs were meant for young people starting out in the workforce before it became a pejorative, term. Flipping burgers was often a rite of passage, a first step towards success. But that was a long time ago. Now the average minimum wage worker is 35 years old. Congress knows this. And teenagers make up only 12% of minimum wage workers. It is no secret that minimum wage lifestyle is a constant struggle here in the United States, particularly among immigrants. This is why I say I don't care what AOC. She can tell us the truth, but she's pushing. She didn't use the power when she had it. Neither are her colleagues, progressive ones, in Congress. So they can get out of here. Like, with all that, like, fake, false. Thank you for telling me this new information. That's it. You get no praise from me. And teenagers, okay, yeah. It is no secret It's a struggle in the United States, minimum wage lifestyle, particularly among immigrants, the lower class, and young people. In general, the purchasing power of American workers has fallen dramatically in comparison to the rest of the developed world. I wish we'd wake up and demand more. And while fast food workers are not the only ones who have to deal with the minimum wage, more often than not, they're the focus of the minimum wage debate. Oh yeah, with good reason. Out of every American industry, fast food has the largest gap between CEO to worker pay. It says the average pay of top restaurant CEOs in 2013 was $872,390, 721 times more than minimum wage workers. A December 23rd, or oh my gosh, 23rd. A December 2013 article on the Huffington Post perfectly illustrates that point in its title. It takes a McDonald's worker 4 months to earn what a CEO gets in an hour. McDonald's is the face of fast food. Most of its operations have been co-opted by other fast food businesses, such as its assembly line, food prep, and franchising. Thanks to the trademark uniformity, anyone can walk into a McDonald's throughout the world and basically have the same experience, which allows us to see how minimum wage plays out across the globe. The median wage of a McDonald's employee in the U.S. is $7.73 per hour. If you have at least 20 people go through the drive-thru, in an hour, and let's say on average 15% or 75% ordered a Big Mac meal or whatever, even let's say half. 5 times 10, 50. You pay the worker $7. And that's big nice because I didn't include the other 10 cars that ordered other things. Absolutely ridiculous extortion that's allowed to happen. Wage slavery and just unfair. Huge gaps. Capitalism, bruh. Particularly in the U.S. Unfettered. That's what they say, unfettered capitalism. Capitalism. It's just disgusting when you really look at it. And especially how it's been able to take form and affect life, our lives and human life. The median wage, just because of greed, but anyway, the median wage of we read that, blah, 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 is $7.73 per hour, which is lower than the state minimum wage for 1/3 of the country. It's also over $1 lower than the median wage of all fast food workers, $8.90 an hour. McDonald's also has the biggest share of public assistance for its employees among fast food chains. Well, duh, it makes sense. Charging so low and $1 below the median, over $1 below the median. Again, though, this is not exclusive to McDonald's. Roughly half of all fast food workers in the U.S. receive some form of public assistance, but McDonald's employees receive the lion's share. Yum! Brands, the corporation that owns Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC receives the second most public assistance, 648 million. We, the taxpayer, pay to subsidize McDonald's and the people who own Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC. Roughly half of the amount McDonald's employees receive. So at the top, I didn't read it, but where it says McDonald's also has the biggest share of public assistance for its employees among the fast food chains. So McDonald's employees, we pay the taxes, 1.2 billion as a subsidy for McDonald's. It goes off and pays people in other countries a living wage. They should be paying that much, but they won't pay us because our country allows for this behavior. Because our country's not built for the people. It's built for the rich, the ruling class, the elite class. It says, meanwhile, fast food CEOs are earning more than ever. The United States ranks 14th in the world for highest federal minimum wage. Below Japan, Germany. Japan at $8.84. Germany at $11.60. France at $12.20. That's nice to have that high of a minimum wage there. I would imagine, but just in general, coming from Americans' perspective of $4.25 or $7.25. San Marino at $12.49, and Luxembourg at $14.24 in Australia, which has the highest minimum wage at $15.81. Denmark has no federal minimum wage, but has a median minimum wage of $20 an hour across its industries. And while these countries offer higher wages, for the most part, their food prices remain consistent. Using the Economist framed Big Mac Index, we can see, that's what we talked about earlier, it's kind of used, but it's not as spot on, but kind of gets close. A Big Mac costs $4.80 in the U.S. and $7.50 in Denmark, and apparently it's what did they say it was? $4.80? No. We were just there. Let's see. Okay. I don't know why I sounded like that. Let's see. No, wait. Have I read this? No, this is the article we're about to read. I'm about to say, I don't remember this. Oh, here it is. It was at the end. Just for my own sake to remember. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, here. I thought that was the end of the article. I'm like, oh, there's all this left too. Flip side. Expensive. Since I'm just reading through it to see if it's anything worth kind of saying out loud. Well, possibly not. Taxes are included in the price, unlike in the U.S. Well, they get paid more too. So, okay, anyway, going back to where we were. Lord, where were we? Oh, right here. Oh my gosh. They said Okay, $4.80. No, I feel like oh my gosh, guys, I feel like I'm going back and forth. Here it is, $4.87 is what they said. Is what it feel like it is now. The most recent Big Mac Index even stated that the burger currently costs around $4.87, not actually the $5.15. Okay, now that we've got that out the way, the Big Mac costs $4.80 in the U.S., $5.15 in Denmark, and other countries mentioned that have a higher minimum wage. France pays $5.25 for a Big Mac, and Germany pays $4.94, and Japan only pays $3.64. So we can see here minimum wage and the costs of Big Macs. Man, they're ripping off the people in Afghanistan. Well, I guess, I don't know. I wonder how much they pay people to, because it's just minimum wage. Doesn't say how much McDonald's is paying them, but minimum wage in Afghanistan is, 57 cents. In India, it says 28 cents. Big Mac's $1.20 or 62. Lord. It says, but that's how the kiddos convey sarcasm. Oh, but what about inflation? By the way, that's how the kiddos convey sarcasm now. Oh, I see. The uppercase, lowercase. I like it. But what about inflation? Exactly. They're ridiculous. If it was inflation, our prices would go up. Like, our minimum wage would go up. Or it should be up way higher. So there's that. Is there any more? So we're seeing kind of the cost. Okay, we get it. I'm just gonna skip to this other article that we were moving along, because I really want to know, what did the restaurant lobby do to stop the $15 minimum wage that they clearly pay others in other countries? Okay, big restaurant chains are telling investors that national minimum wage hike wouldn't be a big deal, even as their corporate lobbying groups in Washington fight plans for $15 minimum wage. Always working to stab right in the back. We share your view. Oh, excuse me. We share your view that a national discussion on wage issues for working Americans is needed. We share the view. You don't share the urgency, the desire to. Anyway, but the Raise the Wage Act is the wrong bill at the wrong time for our nation's restaurants. Disgusting. No, it's not. It says out of the mouth of liars. The National Restaurant Association wrote in a letter to congressional leaders in February. Not the workers didn't write this letter. People at the top. Disgusting. The restaurant industry and our workforce will suffer from a fast-tracked wage increase and elimination of tip credit. Liars. We always talk. They don't like to mention the fact that they could also write in subsidies, right, for businesses that are, only making in a certain amount of money. The government can help subsidize those businesses until they get to a certain point of growth, profit, size. So F them, they're liars. There's a will, there's a way. They don't have the will, and they're going to hide the way. Or they don't want the will, and so they're hiding the way. They're using their lobbyists to do it. Their money. So it says, okay, they wrote in a letter to congressional leaders in February. The fact that they even care, it's just so disgusting. I hate how the classes of the solidarity works. The restaurant industry, the class solidarity. The restaurant industry and our workforce will suffer from a fast-tracked wage increase and elimination of tip credit. The following day, a top executive at Denny's, one of the association's members, told investors that gradual increases in the minimum wage haven't been a problem for the company at all. In fact, California's law raising the minimum wage to $15 by 2023 has actually been good for the diner chain's business, according to Denny's chief financial officer, Robert Verostek, whatever. As they've increased the minimum wage kind of in a tempered pace over that time frame. So what in the world? As they've increased their minimum wage kind of in a tempered pace over that time frame. If you look at the time frame from us, California has outperformed the system. That was a weird sentence. Verostek said on an earnings call, over the time frame, they had 6 consecutive years of positive guest traffic. Not just positive sales, but positive guest traffic as the minimum wage was going up. Yeah, because the people working there are happier to be there. Not being extorted as much. Still being extorted. They deserve more. We all do. Particularly as the working class. Denny's is one of the several Denny's is one of the several publicly traded restaurant chains whose executives have told investors in recent months that Democrats' proposed minimum wage hike is not a real threat to their business and may even be a net positive, according to Daily Poster's review of corporate earnings call. All of the companies have historically belonged to the Restaurant Association, which has led the fight against. Oh, but I heard that it was supposed to do anything. It wouldn't affect anything. It's positive. They have more, skin in the game, keeping the people down, oppress, suppress, eliminate competition. People having enough to be able to save up so they can have restaurants. It's just so. All the companies have historically belonged to the Restaurant Association, which led the fight against raising the Wage Act legislation from Democrats that would gradually increase the minimum wage to $15 by 2025. This is garbage. Democrats, garbage. That this was even what they pushed for, and it didn't even happen. By 2025, $15. That's not on track with inflation at all. It would be closer to $25 is what we're supposed to have. You smack $10 off. How much? $10 off per hour per year. How much money are we leaving on the table? Being quote unquote nice-ish. To even begging for 15, we're leaving a lot of money on the table for the American people. But they don't care. That's what they want. The National Restaurant Association, they want us to be okay with that so that they won't give it to us. But they can dangle it in front of us for who knows how long. And say effing, at the time it was 5 years, but 4 years. The National Restaurant Association declined the Daily Poster's request for comment. Shock. The National Restaurant Association, which represents restaurants around the country, has been a staunch opponent of federal efforts to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Last year, the group spent $2.6 million on federal lobbying, including on lobbying against the raising the Wage Act. Oh my gosh. Other trade associations that have lobbied against a wage hike include the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Wait, what? The nation's top business lobby and the National Small Business Association, according to federal lobbying data. U.S. Chamber of Commerce is allowed to lobby against us having a wage hike. That's National Small Business Association. They'd be lobbying for subsidies, but they play like that's not even an option. They're so corrupt, so evil. It could help the economy. It could help the people, raising the minimum wage, getting the government to help instead of putting it into things like federal assistance. It's helping subsidize companies that are smaller who don't have it to do at a certain point. Like I said earlier, making it for, let's say, we'll say $15. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say $20 an hour. A small business, depending on how big the size is, how big the profit or revenue is, subsidized 10, the business pays $10 an hour, government pays 10. As that grows and with profits, whatnot, you report it in. Let's say now the business is accountable for paying $12 an hour, and then the government pays $8. You see how that works? But they're going to act like, and not even try, or act like that can't exist or it's impossible. They're all just BS. All here to keep us from good, to keep us from true, like happiness and growth, or succeeding. That's more of the word. Because they profit off of it. Why give you money when I can have it? All I gotta do is pay $2.6 million. All of us put in a little bit in the pot. Let's pay $2.6 million. We're making billions a year. And our government says, we know that that's unfair. Give us your money. We'll take it. We'll act like we couldn't put the minimum wage in. We'll act like Manchin is the reason why. Or, we'll bring up this, there's a debate, 15 or 11. We'll have the Small Business Association make it seem like, the people with the businesses would suffer. Allow the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to have its opinion in it. It's not a democracy. Fast food giant McDonald's told the National Restaurant Association in 2019 that it would no longer participate in the group's lobbying efforts to oppose increases to the minimum wage at the federal, state, or local level, according to Politico. In January, McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski told investors the company developed quite a bit of experience with minimum wage hikes at the state level, and there haven't been a problem. Our view is the minimum wage is most likely going to be increasing, whether that's federally or at the state level, as I referenced, and so long as it's done in a staged way and in a way that is equitable for everybody. Who decides what's equitable for you but you and your friends? Talking to Walmart, or not Walmart, talking to McDonald's, this guy. People facing life and death, people facing crushing medical debt, people facing hunger, eviction, in a time that's equitable for everybody. So you mean yesterday? Why should I care? Multi-billion-dollar corporation. After tax. Not paying tax. Get the F out of here. The fact that you even think you have they give you the authority to speak on this is disgusting to me, because you're just one who makes 10 million. Talk about time. It's not life or death for him. Profit. It's greed. It's disgusting, but whatever. And again, here we no mention of, hey, subsidizing, having it be in stages where the government helps. They don't even bring it up, so people don't believe that that's an option that exists. But they know change is coming. That's why they can't hold it off for only so long, because the internet's here. People are realizing that you gotta pay people, a lot more money in other countries. Your excuses don't work. You can't have it anymore. We see you. The times change. That's what makes them oligarchs smart. It's disgusting, but they know how to adapt. It's what's kept them in their power. Just been a step ahead of the game when it comes to the narrative. Anyway. It says, did I read that? Yeah. The national companies debunk industry's talking points. The National Restaurant Association has been saying that restaurants, because they operate on tight margins, rely on tips, and have been hit hard by the pandemic, can't handle a $15 minimum wage and the elimination of the tipped minimum wage. However, on recent earnings calls, executives at restaurant chains that belong to the association have explicitly debunked these talking points when answering questions about how a higher minimum wage would impact business. Our industry runs on a 3 to 5% pre-tax profit margin in a good year. During a pandemic is not the time to impose a triple-digit increase on labor costs. Far too many restaurants will respond by laying off even more work if the government does not assist them. But they're not going to bring that up. They're just going to, of course, in a world where government will do nothing, which is the one we exist in now, they could be going back and forth, negotiating, writing policies that would help these businesses and assist them so that people don't have to get that billions of dollars, altogether. What you're seeing that these fast food businesses and franchises, they put on to the public sector, public assistant programs. We, the taxpayers, subsidize them. Then that way, why not just give people money, and those who are big enough, we don't have to subsidize theirs, but we particularly help small businesses. But big business, right, like McDonald's, like I'm looking at Dunkin' Donuts right here, so we'll say Dunkin' Donuts, throw them in. Dunkin' Donuts, right? They don't want that because they know that they have to pay. They know they have it to pay, and thus they would be expected to pay, and they don't want to. So they're going to keep pushing this narrative. Think of the small business. Think about how it's going to affect the bottom line. Garbage narrative. We've already thought of that, and there are means and ways to overcome that. But you're not going to bring that up right here? Okay. Let's read. Our industry, I see you, but let's read. Our industry runs on a 3 to 5% pre-tax profit margin in a good year. During a pandemic, it's not the time to impose a triple-digit increase in labor costs. Blah, 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 talking out the side of their neck. Far too many restaurants will respond in layoffs. Laying off even more workers or closing their doors for good. Blah, 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 talking out the side of their neck. The National Restaurant Association said in a January statement on the Raise the Wage Act. So that was their garbage propaganda being pushed, their lies and misconceptions, purposeful, willful. While the group does not currently disclose its, let me see here, or just be like, if you make more than a couple million in profit before additional investments, you have to pay a minimum wage. Yeah. I mean, that's higher a livable wage. I wouldn't say a livable minimum wage that's attached to inflation. But yeah, I think we can have it be a scale down or scale it like process. If it's based on profits, if your company makes this amount of profits given the amount of employees, then they would be expected, and it would be like a sliding scale. Small businesses don't make millions. Yeah, so thus they would be subsidized. So why are we even talking about or caring about restaurants or these small mom and pops when the U.S. government could take care of that? They're throwing it in there to mislead people, to making it feel as though that this would be crushed, or thinking the people who work in this sector is not fair to them. F them. It would be fair. It'd be the best for them. Go into a place, have, you know, the wait staff, you know, the what is it? Oh my gosh. I'm saying cashier in my head. The waiters, that's it. Are happy because they're don't have to worry, you know, or the job that they're working is allowing them to live a life that makes them happy and not have to struggle. Like it would help all of us, but they're gonna make it seem as though no, that's a lot, or they're making it out to seem as though all is lost if you give the people what they deserve, or pay them with humanity, or you know what I mean? Treat them with humanity, not pay them with humanity, but whatever. Okay. Says while the group does not currently disclose its members to, I tell you, secrecy keeps them protected. And see, like in quiet, in the shadows, you don't know who these people are. Our government allows for it to be. It gives them cover. Same thing goes along the lines of corporate life insurance. It wasn't until IRS dug in and pulled up the numbers and the documents that we know that 70% of the Fortune 1000 companies have corporate life insurance. But to say which exactly, they are not releasing that. Now the way that we know is because they've been caught. They've gotten caught. People have sued these companies because they've taken out life insurance policies on their relatives and they didn't know about it, and they didn't like it. They found out that they had a corporate life insurance policy on it, and they demanded some of the funds, as if a person would if you use their likeness or image to make money off of them on a billboard. You have to pay the person or the person's relatives, if those persons are gone, to use their image. You can't just use their death certificate. You use their life and then behind their back do a whole deal, make money, and then the people left behind, the people who they loved, are left with nothing. But we allow that to happen in this country. Okay, while the group does not currently disclose. Oh, that's what it's going back to. Yeah, they don't disclose because our country keeps them hidden. Allows them to stay hidden. Two companies it previously listed among its national corporate members have recently disputed the idea that $15 an hour is an unaffordable labor cost. Domino's Pizza CEO Rich Allison told investors in a February earnings call, "We've been able to manage our way through a lot of minimum wage increases across the country. And I'll tell you, quite honestly, in our corporate store business, we're not paying the federal minimum wage anyways. You can't go out there and hire people at that rate anyway." Yes, you can, but okay. We're above the minimum wage, both for our folks that work inside the stores and our tip drivers on the road. And then in our supply chain business, we're in excess of $15 an hour everywhere we operate. Okay, I hear you. Okay, that's good. You're not paying minimum wage, but calm the F down. How much do you pay people at Domino's? Because you talking really big for people who might pay, what, $9? Shock me. Tell me you're paying Domino's workers $12, $13 an hour. No? Or you say, we couldn't imagine paying our Domino's workers minimum wage. We pay them $8.25. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe they have done it, but it's just not telling you right here. So, I'll be listening to CEOs talk up their treatment of their workers and not paying them a livable wage, all of them. So, only some of them. If that, but whatever. Because it also depends on where you live. $15 an hour is a livable wage. Anyway, the company's response to investor inquiries about a $15 minimum wage is especially notable, given that its employees lean Republican. Domino's Pizza employees gave more than $654,000 to GOP candidates in 2020 election cycle. The fact that they gave anything to these people who did not fight for them, we look back in retrospect, they did not get them $15 minimum wage, and they're not for it. The Stockholm Syndrome. The Cheesecake Factory is now partially owned by private equity firm Rock Capital Group, whose fast food chain recently bragged that it helped convince Congress not to include a $15 minimum wage measure in the American Rescue Plan. Rourke Capital has warned its investors that its portfolio companies could be adversely affected by changing governmental policies. Lies. Like, could be. A shark could fall from the sky right now. Okay. What are the odds? Like, what are the chances? Are there not any other strategies there that would not have adversely effects if the government intervened, or you're just painting that narrative on purpose? Including the minimum wage. Ugh. The firms and their slush liars. And they know it. That's why I don't know. These politicians aren't tricked. They know what's going on. They allow themselves to take in the information that they get. Well, these people said this, so maybe not. And they paid me to do it, so we're just going to go along with this narrative. Because that's just how it works. That's how the game works here. That's how the system works. They write the policies they want. They pay us. We push the narrative that says, sorry, we didn't make it. Or that was it. It's impossible to get $15. Or it would be sue up. Like they push it for them. I call them the oligarchs, the elites. The 1%. The 0.01%. The firms, who knows? Sorry, it's hot in here now. This firm managing director serves on the National Restaurant Association's board, according to his firm bio. But a top executive at the Cheesecake Factory told investors in February that raising the minimum wage would not cause problems for the company. Labor input is just a cost input, said Matt Clark, Cheesecake Factory's chief financial officer, and you can try to put some technology around it to improve efficiency and such. But at the end of the day, most competition prices for it. Most competition prices for it. That's weird to say, but at the end of the day, most competition prices for it ever. And I think that's the necessity to maintain margin structures that are competitive and attractive for continued investment. Clark added that a wage hike could affect some of the company's competitors, and ultimately the stronger survive and take market share. The comments were hardly anomalous. That's a weird word. Over the last 2 months of earnings seasons, top executives from Diamond Rock, Hospitality, Kroger, HCA, Healthcare, Hilton, and Six Flags all downplayed the negative effects of a prospective minimum wage increase, and some have argued it would boost customer spending. The statements from leaders across various service industry sectors undercut corporate lobbying groups in Washington that have pretended such a wage increase would destroy the economy. Many, including me, are supportive of over time that minimum wage needs to move up, said Hilton CEO Chris Nassetta, in a February earnings call. I think we should all assume that the minimum wage is going to be going up over time. In fact, because it needs to. Duh. It needs to. It's a fact that it's allowed to stay dormant for so long. This is the problem. In a feat in and of itself that they've been able to suppress and oppress us for so long and just taking it. But they know people are gonna push for what they know is to be right or fair. Too much information's out about how much money these companies are making, record profits. The people will demand more. And so the fact that it didn't get passed this time, not surprising. But at least in their heads they're gearing up. Some are. They're not lobbying to increase it for the good of, at least particularly Americans. I haven't heard of any of these big companies lobbying to raise the minimum wage, because that's not capitalistic. It doesn't make capitalistic sense. If your goal is profit and money, and to get the most money with the least amount of cost, it's very inhumane way of thinking. It's not a humane way of thinking. Capitalism isn't a humane system. That's why it has to be checked. And if it doesn't get checked, it goes on with its inhumanity, like paying people $7.25 and having the peak of minimum wage be in 1968 at $8 and 80 something cents. I think it was that we just read. Corrupt. These companies can speak. I know you know the truth. I know you know it won't crash it. I know you know it's time for us to increase. Okay, and are you doing anything to push towards it? Are you associated with a organization that actively is pushing to repress it? Looks like that's true. They are part of the association working to oppress it. So filthy rags to me. Okay, Six Flags, cool. You know the truth. Okay, next. It all tells me is that you know the truth. You're not fighting for good. You know what's right. You're not fighting for it because of greed. Something with money, power. Is what money essentially equals. They prefer that over us, the people. Let's see. It says, where Six Flags. To the extent that there is minimum wage increases in certain of our demographics where we operate, that has got a halo effect on the revenue side. Six Flags Chief Financial Officer Sandeep Reddy, during a February earnings call in response to a question about whether a higher wage helps boost spending at its park. Six Flags CEO Michael Spanos added, "We are roughly half teens and half young adults, and roughly half families and children. And to Sandeep's point, we think it absolutely helps in that regard to put more money in their pockets. We don't really see an impact to tips. The federal wage for jobs that rely on tips, such as restaurant servers, is currently $2.13. Although most states require companies to pay more than that, the Raise Your Wage Act would phase out this sub-minimal wage by 2025, and then companies will have to pay tipped workers the federal minimum wage. A recent study from the Center of American Progress found that workers who are paid $2.13 federal tip minimum wage are more likely to live in poverty, than tipped workers in states that have we eliminated the sub-minimum wage for such workers. So I'm turning that then. Makes sense. Last summer, the advocacy group One Fair Wage wrote that the sub-minimal wage was becoming an even bigger problem during COVID-19 pandemic. Who would have thought? In numerous states around the country, restaurant workers are reporting that tips are down 50 to 70%, they wrote. Nevertheless, the restaurant industry has often tried to argue that ending the tipped wage will be bad for workers and ultimately reduce the amount of money they make. Let's pause real quick. When I studied abroad in Japan, I loved it. Why? Well, one, the culture is you don't tip. Why? Because the workers are paid well. Their minimum wage, at least in what we saw in the other article in Japan, it's decently higher. It's just gonna... No, where was it? It was talking about Germany and the rest. I just want to look at it. Because again, reading these articles together, and I want to make sure that I remember certain things. From these articles. Was it not here? Here it is. Yep. Here, 884. So even if they paid the servers that, but I just know that they don't do the whole tipping, pay them less, $2 an hour. No. So they get paid workers. And what happens is that you don't get, it's not the same as how it is in the U.S. where you have one waiter assigned to you. Many places you would go to, you'd have a buzzer. And it was so nice. So when you're ready, you have your menus there. When you're ready to order, you buzz the buzzer. They take your order. When your order's ready, whoever's available at that time brings you your food. You need something else, you just buzz for it. There's not going to be a waiter there trying to be personable and hoping that they can get you to pay more, right? It's just a job, how it should be. And again, going back to the subsidized, our country could do it, but it doesn't on purpose. And thus I feel like even the restaurant industry has been used as a way to fear bait people into not wanting, or those against raising the minimum wage, because they're like, well, our government doesn't subsidize them, we do, right? We leave tips for them because our government won't subsidize. So what makes them us think that the government would subsidize when it comes to $15 minimum wage, even though that's what makes sense in what other countries do. I'm pretty sure. I need to look into more of the extent of how these other countries who have higher minimum wage, how they help their small businesses. But yeah, it was good. Like, they didn't have to have as many waiters. Why? You know, you all helped one another when you needed it. You know, they saw the buzz, you go. But that's your job. And you will get paid for what you do. A livable wage. How it should be. They're down. Nevertheless, restaurant industry has often tried to argue that ending the tip wage will be bad for workers and ultimately reduce the amount of money they make. The argument is that customers won't tip as generously if restaurants are forced to raise their prices. It happens in other countries, people. Or because customers won't feel like restaurant workers need their money as desperately as they do now. Again, other countries are doing it. They've already, a culture in Asia, that's not a thing. You don't tip people. But it's not like, oh, they're making $50 an hour, but they're making more than a U.S. server does. And people like to say, well, there's tips and things like that. Yeah, but that's not something that you can guarantee. And why not have it so that we guarantee that people will at least have it to make a living wage? Like, and why are we putting it on the people who also live in an economy in which the minimum wage is $7.25? We're the ones who have to foot the bill because restaurants don't, because it's not the government refuses to. Corruption. Oh, because maybe a more person with more money or wealth might come and bless you with $100 bill that night, and thus would make more than added up other tips, right? We have to hope that the Prince Charming comes. It sits at your table, this hope that you have these workers hope on their tips, right? They work for the tips. But essentially, it's not just the tips, it's working for people who have it to do, will give them money in exchange for their service. But I just feel like it's disturbing. And then it's on us people, like, hey, I'm going to help you out, knowing that you do need more, but hey, I paid it's $10 for my food, give you a $5 tip. What percentage of that if it is? Even then, I feel like may not be enough, depending on how much of the flow is in there when it comes to the restaurant, what type of restaurant it is, who, what social class typically comes to the restaurant. But you're just going to say, oh, some people make more, feel like they would make more in tips. Why are we bringing that up? Okay, cool. But it's more about the least of these, making sure the least of these are taken care of. Not people who work, let's say, in a restaurant where the people pay a lot. But the Waffle House workers, for instance. Who's looking out for them? People who do the service industry, who serve the working class. Those who clearly you undermine when it comes to wage. They know it's a perpetual cycle. This is all, again, garbage. These wordings. Oh, it affects them. Nevertheless, the industry has often tried to argue that ending the tip wage will be bad for workers and ultimately reduce the amount of money they make. All of them? Or the higher percentage of higher earners that are servers? Reduce that? How big of a percentage? Is it worth oppressing the majority, all of the, servers, just because a few make more than that? Or are you raising up? How many more people's lives will be raising up by doing this? But they're not bringing that up. See how they manipulate? Like they purposely say certain things and leave out other things. Anyway, it says, yeah. The argument is that customers won't tip as generously if the restaurants are forced to raise their prices, or because customers won't feel like restaurants workers in need. Anyway, we already know this is garbage. The government could help subsidize. The National Restaurant Association, for example, wrote in a press release in January, the elimination of the tip credit will cut the take-home wages of thousands of tipped employees who make far beyond the proposed minimum wage, hourly wage. How many thousands of people, or hundreds of thousands of people, lives would be lifted up by it? How much stress would be relieved? Can we do a survey there? No? So I don't want to hear about it. You're only telling me a negative thing. You're not reporting the positive to me because you don't have a vested interest in doing so, or you like how things are. You like having your workers be subservient to you, right? They need their job. Even if it's crap hours, you're going to still come back, leave the job. So it's oppression. or liking the I don't know. It's just it's just awful. Because it doesn't have to be this way. But they make it seem like these are the only options. There's no evidence that there's no evidence that workers are tipped less in states that have eliminated the minimum wage. In February, a top executive at the steakhouse chain Texas Roadhouse said on an earnings call that the company's employees haven't been losing out on tip money in states like California and Minnesota, where there's no sub-minimal wage for tipped workers, or in Colorado and Arizona, where tipped workers must be paid more than $9 an hour. We don't really see an impact to tips for those servers in those higher wage states, said Tanya Robinson, Texas Roadhouse chief financial officer. They continue to get tipped well, and their overall average wage is pretty high. So there's that. A very interesting article. Were these recent? Or did I read these? I think I read these. If they should probably. If they do, they should probably pay the minimum wage. Oh. I think that was from earlier. But yeah. So, let me see here. So upsetting. We know they're lying. They're talking outside of their neck. They know it won't hurt them overall. They know that there's ways that we can do it. You know, work with government, again, with the subsidizing. We already subsidize these big corporations anyway with public assistance. But the people aren't being helped. It'd be better if we use that money we already use to subsidize via public assistance these big corporations, and instead these big corporations that can pay, they pay, and we subsidize smaller business who end up employing more people. If you look at the numbers, it's these big corporations that lay off the most people. It's small business growth is what really helps communities and people to employ them and and help the community. But we're not putting our money there. It's almost like those who run the country are bought by those who are in big business and work for them, not us. So, yeah. It was very upsetting that Biden, but I mean, he's a pathological liar. So, duh. And a lot of presidents tend to be. But, so no $15 minimum wage. You hear the influence. Clearly there was influence from the restaurant lobby when it came to it. It looks like Schumer's trying to say that, oh, we'll bring it in the next one. $15. F you. You could have done it in this first one. You didn't. So I don't expect anything from you here. I expect you to fold and to listen to big money, which isn't the people. You listen to corporations, oligarchs, instead of us. They know how it'll lift so many people from out of poverty, and they say, I don't care. We don't work for you. We work for our oligarchs. Sorry, you thought our messaging, you thought that was real for you? You got tricked? You got beguiled? You listened to us? That's what you get. But yeah, we'll fight for the next one. Wink. Or are you going to fall for that one too? I feel like that's how they see us. Because that's how they treat us. Like we're stupid. And they like to see us play along with the little games. It's a sadistic system. And makes money off of people dying and people getting sick and people being in perpetual poverty and people being willing to accept $7.25 an unlivable wage. That's what our country is built on. And it thrives on low wage workers. Death, incarceration, and sickness. Oh, and war. So, that was fun. Let me go over. That's kind of the rundown I had. I see that we're going on 3 hours and 15 minutes on stream. Look at my these little baby hairs flying. Let me just go look over here. Just make sure. Sorry, YouTube, I have not checked. I don't think we've had really any comments in the YouTube section. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so we're good. I don't want to leave out people's comments. So anyway, it has been a fun stream. I need to start editing these videos. I do these long streams, and particularly when I'm going over news topics and articles. What I want to do, and we'll see our channel begin to grow, is to chop the videos up. So that way it's into smaller segments and posting them on the YouTube channel. That way you guys can watch them again. You could share them, and just our presence, you know, the Woke Millennial stream, it gets out there. And yeah, so that's something on my list of things to do. I don't know why, but I'm being honest, I feel like I have anxiety towards editing. Like, bro, I know it's ridiculous because I was a whole editor, video editor, and president of my university's video club, Wake TV, where we did video making, editing, videography, all of that. I know. So I don't know why it gives me anxiety. I really do try to be self-aware of it, but I'm pushing through it, and so eventually we will have videos that are edited because I need to suck it up. But yeah. And can you pass me a Chi-Chi? You guys get to see Chi-Chi before you go. Why? Because she is small size and easy to grab. Oh, Chi-Chi. You were sleeping. She's like, I've been listening to you on stream and waiting for you to get off. But anyway, you guys get to see hi to Chi-Chi. Hello, because you weren't here at the beginning. She wasn't here at the beginning of the stream. She's like, what's happening? I got moved off of the comfy bed for this. We love you, Chi-Chi. Oh, she's so sweet. Oh, she's so good. I love her. Anyway, okay, I'll stop. I just end up this, you know, scratching and rubbing on her on screen. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. It was a very good stream. I am happy we were able to cover all that we did cover, you know, from the mummies in the streets to the effectiveness of the vaccine and how we're seeing cases, you know, of people who have been fully vaccinated getting COVID, and kind of seeing how articles are misleading people once again, even to this. Not pointing out the fact that there's the variants out there, and why we should be continuing as a society to mask up, so like wash our hands, social distance, instead of what's going on now, which is people are not, they're changing their behaviors. They're not wearing masks, you know, because CDC's telling them they don't have to, which is the most reckless thing you can do at this time, and they're doing it on purpose. So we talked about that, and then also ending it with how we're being screwed over by the restaurant industry, and how the restaurant industry, particularly McDonald's, is screwing over workers and taxpayers, their workers and taxpayers, because we have to foot the bill because they pay them $7-something minimum. It looked like a little bit above minimum wage. I think it said it was I think it was closer to $7.75 was what they pay. And so, and hearing how the restaurant industry lobbied toward being against the Raise the Wage Act that was trying to be passed, even though they know that it's inevitable for the minimum wage to go up, and that they've already experienced these restaurants in this industry, or in states that the minimum wage has gone up. They've seen that they're not losing at all. Like, it's not going all downhill now that they've raised the wage. They're saying that it's doable. So What's the excuse for why they're not giving it to us? If not just that they want to keep us in poverty, people people stressed, keep people without, keep people needing. Even though they bust their butts 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, even 30 hours a week, hey, still out there. And the amount that you're putting into the system, you're not getting out. So anyway, so that was good. So tomorrow I should be on the stream. I might have my sister come up. So she might be on stream tomorrow. So that should be fun. And again, I would like it to be more chill since this was more of the news stream. But we'll see. We might cover a couple of news topics tomorrow. But I still have to say, because like my capture card isn't working. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to like be more chill and watch more pop culture videos and, you know, play Sonic. So we'll see. But stay tuned tomorrow for that. And we should be on in the evenings again. You know, we usually come on around between 7 and 9, a little over. I feel like our median average on how late we tend to start, or around the times we start. So yeah, we're getting closer and closer to having more of a concrete time of starting. But since we're new to the stream, been streaming over a month and a half, we're trying to get our routine going. So yeah, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. What else? I guess I'm gonna end it with a shameless plug. Again, if you guys are watching and you enjoyed the stream, if you want to help us, we do have a goal, which is to get to 50 followers here on Twitch. That way we reach the affiliates program here. And so if you enjoyed the stream, if you want to be a part of this community, hit the follow button. That way you'll know when we're live. So yeah, I guess I say all there to say. Say bye, Chi-Chi. Oh, she's so cute. Look at the camera. There she goes. Okay. Bye, everybody.